everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. It is Sunday, the 17th of May, 2026. I am Carey Holzman, and today a review, unboxing, and setup of the brand new, just released Minisforum M2. Minisforum has so many computers, it gets super easy to get them all confused. As an update, last week we reviewed the Minisforum M1 Lite. At bare bones at $300. It's a heck of a bargain. And when we ran out of time, we do need to do a follow-up on the M1 Lite because I didn't have time to run Cinebench and Crystal Diskmark on it. However, I did run them, and I grabbed a screenshot because I want you to take a look at the absolute chilliest temperatures I've ever seen, and I don't know how Minisforum pulled this off, but take a look at the screen here. And those are the Cinebench results on the M1 Lite. And look at our maximum temperatures over on the third row of numbers there. And I've never seen anything run that cool before unless something's wrong with the software, the monitoring software with the new motherboards, and I need to update it. Or Minisforum is undervolting, maybe. I don't think so. And then on top of that, it's possible they just have a fantastic cooling system. It never got loud, and it never got really hot. I mean, I've seen computers that idle at that maximum temp. I'm not saying that they should, but I've seen it. So I did not see that coming. So we'll explore part 2 into the M1 Lite. And it's just kind of messing with my brain right now because I'm thinking, how the heck did they pull that off? Now, the M2 is nothing like the M1 in the sense that the M1 is really a good mid-range budget computer, and the M2 is more of a high-end budget computer. And I'm not even sure the word budget and high-end go together in any context. However, there are more expensive high-end computers than the M2. So to give you an idea what the M2 is, it's very different on the inside from the M1 Lite, but on the outside they kind of look alike. So let me show you. Let's go to, well, heck, let's just go to Amazon. Let's start there. And I think I can bring that up right here. Yeah, there it is. So what we're looking at is basically an Ultra 7 356H. And that includes 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. Now, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM can set you back $600, and a terabyte of storage could set you back $150 or more. So just those two added items, the DDR5 and the terabyte of storage, if purchased separately, could set you back, I'm gonna be conservative and say $700. Right now, with the market the way it is. If you subtract $700 from that $1299 for the cost of this unit, you're basically paying $600 for the unit. And if you know how much Intel sells that Ultra 7 CPU, it's a mobile processor only, so you and I can't buy it. You'd realize they're not making much money on this. But it's got Wi-Fi 7, it'll do 50 trillion operations per second for like AI because it has a neural processing unit. It supports 4K triple display. It's got 2.5 gig LAN. And as far as I know, there are no reviews on this yet. I don't see anything on YouTube for it. And over at their website, you'll see here, this is a pretty interesting concept, $575 if you want to put your own RAM and storage in it. I was pretty darn close at $700, wasn't I? Right? I estimated that perfectly. I honestly did not know that this was available at $575. When I looked at it earlier, I was looking at this one, which is a little cheaper than at Amazon. Right? It's about $250 cheaper to buy it direct from Minisforum currently. And if you watch for those coupons, like you see the little package gift over here, that might be like $30 off or something. I don't know. By checking this, you agree to receive spin it. It's not going to let me spin without an email. $25 off, $40 off, $30. I see the $30 off offer all the time. There's our friend Regan over from Minisforum. They have their own video channel here on YouTube if you want to watch them. He goes into some depth, far more depth than I can, because he works for Minisforum. I don't. So he knows a lot more about it than I do. The device is also Bluetooth 5.4. It's got two M.2 slots that support Gen 4x4 NVMe. And of course, it's all Intel based. So, I mean, this thing looks super fantastic. And you know what's surprising is, while everybody else, all the other mini PC manufacturers, are barely trickling out any new PCs in 2026, so far as I can tell, Minisforum is keeping pace with all the years prior with the number of new models they're introducing, and they're not letting the economics slow them down. Now, I don't know how they're doing it, but I'm glad somebody is. And I'm also glad that somebody is Minisforum, a company that we've grown to trust, and seeing a quality and a level of customer service that should be normal in this industry. Minisforum isn't doing anything above and beyond, except compared to everybody else. So to me, everything Minisforum's doing should be, you know, as far as quality, pricing, availability, support, customer service, everything they're doing should be the standard for any mini PC. But unfortunately, the state of the industry is such that they want to sell it as cheap as possible, and if that means cutting back on the support and all that other stuff and put it on the customer to figure it out for themselves, then the customer can save some money and the company can make more money. Minisforum is not doing that. So because other companies, and so many are choosing to do that, it's making what Minisforum do as far as support and quality and, you know, taking care of their customers seem extraordinary when it should just be industry standard. That is pretty interesting, watching what the industry is doing and how, you know, they're willing to sacrifice, they being other mini PC manufacturers, sacrifice their integrity to sell something as cheaply as possible to make the sale. And I don't see Minisforum ever having to do that. And then the other thing I see them doing is they're not innovating as much. Maybe they don't have the budget for it because they sell just cheap computers. I don't know. But Minisforum continues to keep cranking out new machines. I paused here on the website where you can see all the ports, right? The reset hole, the power button, the audio jack. It is USB 4. Of course, at this price, you would expect nothing less. Plus an additional 2 USB Type A's. They're 3.2 Gen 2. Those are 10 gigabits per second, 2 in the front. You've got one more in the back along with a USB 2, which is ideal for a keyboard, mouse, printer, things like that. You've got an HDMI port, display port, dual 2.5 gig LAN jacks, and then of course a barrel style power connector. And why they never highlight the little Kensington lock, I don't understand, but it is there if you need to chain it down. You're somewhere where things grow legs and walk out on their own. So I've got the links. Actually, Mara has the links for the Minisforum product page and the Amazon page in our video notes below. Also in our video notes is our friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs, where I go to get my Windows Office and license keys. What was the last machine that we worked on? Remember, I just did it. And I said I would go on to, it was a bare bones unit, right? We had to put our own RAM and storage in it. Which one was that? I've got it around here somewhere. I think the AOO Star was the one we did previously. And after the show, when I went to activate it, it told me I was already active. I was already activated. So how did that happen? I'm guessing there must have been a key. And I just, because I installed Windows 11 Pro, there must have been a key already registered to that board for Windows 11 Pro, because if I would have put Windows 11 Home on it, I'm sure it would not have activated. I just got lucky, I guess. But I think they should tell you, hey, if you buy this and you put Windows 11 on it, bare bones, be sure to put the Pro on. Instead, their website, AOO Star's website, says, contact us and we'll give you a key. The key was already in it, so there was no reason to contact them. That's why I have to do a follow-up on the AOO Star. I need to do a follow-up on the M1 Lite. But because this model just came out, it's like stop the presses. we got to talk about this while it's fresh and new. We can bring something unique to you, our viewers, that you're just not going to find anywhere else currently. So I want to jump on that as quickly as I can and introduce you to this latest model. But again, our friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs, I just didn't need to use them in that case. But if you look below any of my live videos, so if you look below, we'll go back to a video we did back in March, I guess. And oops, that's the wrong button, Carey. Let me come back over here. Turn that back off. Here's a video we did back in March, and then if you look below the channel name, you'll see that first box on the left. That's where you're going to find the video description that contains all the links to everything we're talking about in the video. And if you look through it, you'll see the links for Windows and Office product keys. Now, we've since updated that to include Office 2024, and I verified all of the pricing. It still hasn't changed. So I just verified all the pricing 2 days ago, and that is subject to change based on foreign exchange. But you notice when I go to buy the product, it wants me to sign in first, and that's so that they can send you an email with your receipt and your product key, right? They don't want you to just post that publicly. So now when you signed in, you can use the coupon code Carey, and that'll take another 25% off if you'd like to save money, or don't use the coupon code if you want to pay full price. And full price is a bargain, by the way, because they support the product. A lot of places you buy Windows keys don't support them. They just say, good luck, take your money and run. And right now their PayPal payment method is, they're having some technical problem with it. However, normally they take PayPal. Hopefully they'll have that resolved soon. Once you select your payment method, hit the Pay Now button, and you just go through the on-screen prompts. And that's it. You'll get an email within 2 minutes, at least in my experience. Any day, any night, any weekend, any holiday, whenever you feel like buying it, you'll get a response, which means you're going to get a confirmation of your purchase and then a download link for the product and the product key sent to you in your email. And if you ever need that in the future, you just log back into the site and look at your purchase history, and it's all recorded there. So that email and password are absolutely critical for your own benefit. That being said, I want to thank our friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs for continuing to offer this deal to the audience, because quite frankly, most other businesses such as myself would never, ever disclose where we're getting our parts from. That's basically suiciding your company. But because my company doesn't operate across the United States and this video goes out around the entire world, I'm not worried about the Phoenix area. You know what I mean? I've got viewers all over the world, and this will benefit all of you no matter where you live, anywhere on the planet. You can all take advantage of that. So if you want to use PayPal and you can't, well, they're working on it, reach out to us personally at our email address, and we will, you can basically pay us through PayPal and we'll go get it for you. It just won't be in your purchase history. So support may be difficult. If you need it, you'll just have to go through us. And I will lose money. Well, it won't cost me anything other than my time. But if you have a problem with a key, then that's my responsibility now, acting as a middleman. And I'm willing to do that for you if need be. Or be patient, wait for PayPal to come back. That would be best. That way, if there are any problems, you're going to talk directly to them with your receipt number. If I buy it for you on your behalf during the time where they're, you know, they're having these PayPal issues, you'll have to work with me. Once it activates, which usually happens, no problem. Every once in a while, there may be. And if that every once in a while happens, if you buy the key from me, then I will be the person you need to contact for support. So in that case, I am basically contributing my time and my labor over to VIP-URCDKEYs and to you, because you both are very important to me. And I want to make sure you get a good deal. I want to make sure that if I can help out VIP-URCDKEYs, they're helping us out. So thankfully, it's pretty rare that I ever have to help anybody after a sale. But if I'm going to be the middleman, I sell it just like a product in my business. I have to support it. So then your deal is with me and not with them. But if that's what I have to do to help you, I am more than happy to take care of you, member or not. Okay, so just so you know, you're not going to get burned. You're not going to be swindled. You're not going to be scammed. I would rather refund your money than deal with an upset customer. It's just faster, cheaper, less annoying. If somebody is that upset, I'd rather not have them as a customer. I'll gladly, I mean, if somebody's just hitting the roof, I would rather just give you your money back. Please take your business somewhere else if you're intolerant and unreasonable. I don't want you to buy the keys if you're that way. But if you're a reasonable person, you understand sometimes mistakes happen. More than likely, no mistake is going to happen. So I talk about it because I want you to have peace of mind that worst case scenario, sometimes mistakes happen. We always take care of them every single time. And the worst way I could take care of it would say that I cannot meet your impossible expectations, so here's your money back. That would be the worst case. So it didn't cost you anything. And then you'll be upset by it. I'll be upset. We'll all be upset. Trust me, I'm not happy about it when people are unreasonable and demanding. So under those conditions, obviously, I'll bend over backwards for you. Okay. Speaking of bending over backwards, our good friend Buster sent an Amazon gift card yesterday, and then he sent another one today, and he said he thought yesterday was Sunday. But he said, keep it. Here's another one. So thank you, Buster, for continuing to support us here. And those Amazon gift cards go a long way because we just ordered 2 more mini PCs that I think could be potential bargains. We were starting to run low. That happens quick, doesn't it? So I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, plus this one is 7. I was getting worried. I was getting low. But thanks, you guys. You pulled through for us, guys. Charlie Purdy, Frankie B, Buster, Mark Gaines, Luke Greenia, all of you, Tom Jackson, Phil Stodd, all of the regular contributions, and especially all of the members that pay a monthly membership here. They're the reasons these videos can happen. These videos cost, well, take today's video. Thankfully, Minisforum sent this to us for free in exchange for a review. Minisforum's never paid us. This is a $1,300 computer plus sales tax, so it's at least another $100. So just to make this video, if we paid for this, not to mention the cameras, equipment, the internet bill, everything else we need to go live in 4K, isn't what I need personally. So I have a pretty high-end internet. It's not cheap. And then the time I spend doing this isn't time I can work for clients and earn money. So I'm not earning any money doing it other than what the community contributes to support the channel. This is how this method works here. As far as I know, I'm the only one on YouTube doing it this way, or at least of this size. And you know, we're not really growing, but we're not shrinking. We've leveled off thanks to the community. And we can continue to be independent and do our reviews in an unbiased way without worry of retaliation from a company that doesn't like our review. So we do that one of 2 ways. One, we work with great companies that love the feedback, even if it's critical. They appreciate it instead of get angry. I'd say 8 out of 10 companies get angry. 2 out of 10 say thank you. One of those 2 out of 10 in this example would be Minisforum. They've been a pleasure to work with, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. When I was thinking about what I was going to do today, I had something else scheduled, but Minisforum has been loyal to us more than any other mini PC manufacturer. We've had some come and go. They've been there for a number of years now, and I do sell their products to my clients. That's how confident I am in them. And I said to myself, why should I make Minisforum wait? The product just came out. We could also be one of the first to review it. So what I was planning to do today, I will do another day because we bought that stuff, right? So we can do that at any time. And let's give Minisforum the attention they deserve. Even if you can't afford to buy one or this doesn't fit your particular values or needs, I think you'll agree, much like all the other Minisforum computers, what it offers is unique in the marketplace at a very aggressive price point. They also offer a longer warranty than most others at, what is it, 2 years? Let me see. Let me just double check before I say anything incorrectly. Let's go back over to the window capture. What is their warranty on this? Let's go back to their main page. I think it's 2 years, if not 3. Most places are 1 year. There is no warranty information. Three-year warranty protection. A 3-year factory warranty plus an optional 3-year accidental coverage. So the 3 years, see, I'm glad I checked it. I was going to say 2. 3 years, it's 3 times longer than nearly all the other mini PC manufacturers. It might be the longest in the industry. I'm not sure on that. But that's for defects in workmanship and materials, not for something you did. So if you want to buy this accidental coverage, that'll cover you, and you know you'll have a computer regardless if you spilled something on it, dropped it, or something just went wrong that isn't your fault, that you will have a working computer for at least 3 years if you purchase the accidental coverage. But otherwise, if you don't purchase the accidental coverage, you definitely are going to have a working computer for 3 years as far as workmanship and materials go, and Minisforum backs that up. They also do the same 30-day free returns as Amazon. You get lifetime free technical support, and of course you can pay with credit cards and PayPal and Google Pay and everything, really. So with that, I'll let you decide where you want to buy from if you want to buy it. Right now it seems pretty obvious. It's a massive savings compared to Amazon, and I don't know why there's such a significant price increase on Amazon unless there's a coupon somewhere. I'm not seeing any coupon on this. But with Amazon, you'll usually get it faster. In this case, maybe not, because this is saying it's going to be at least 10 days. So it might be just as fast to order it from Minisforum Direct in that case. But I also understand the peace of mind in dealing with a retailer that, like Amazon, I'm familiar with it and I know how easy returns are. With Minisforum, I've never had to return anything, so I'm assuming that it's easy to do. And if you have any experience with that and you want to share it with us, please let us know. All right, let me say hello to everybody joining us in our chat room. Right now, I'm noticing we have 0 drop frames. Lately in our live broadcast, we've had some stuttering and some hiccups. And I want you to know, that's not us. We don't change anything here. Everything for us is working. If you're in your Ferrari and you can't go faster than 35 miles an hour because you're driving in rush hour traffic and you're just in a sea of cars, that's nothing you can do about it. There's no amount of tune-up or type of fuel or way of driving that's going to get you faster than the car in front of you. So the problems we've been having this week with, or last week, with the stuttering and the drop frames, we have changed nothing. Now all of a sudden the problem that came from out of nowhere went away from out of nowhere. What that tells us is we've had either an ISP, or internet service provider, upgrading some equipment or dealing with a problem, or YouTube themselves, for the region of the data center we're assigned to, something between us and them, or them themselves, was giving us problems. Whoever is at fault, I don't know. I know it was not on us, and all we can do is put the show on or cancel the show during these problems. So Wednesday's show got canceled because we could not, it was so bad, we were losing half of everything we were putting up. 50% of everything we filmed wasn't making it to YouTube. And I don't know where it was getting lost. Then Thursday, it was better. Friday, it was almost perfect. And today, so far, it's back to normal and everything's fine. And sometimes with computer problems, you know, part of my job as a computer technician is to determine if I can fix it. So the first thing I want to do is just check everything in the building, check all my connections, reboot everything, maybe change some settings, right? And thankfully, I changed a lot of settings, but I had a backup of my OBS settings. So when I realized none of that worked, I just restored the backup. It's 2 minutes. Everything was put back exactly the way it was before I was monkeying with it. And then I realized that's all I can do. I knew at that point taking it any further is a waste of my time, because no matter what I know beyond that, I can do nothing about it. So why educate yourself on a problem that you can't go and fix yourself? The people who own that problem aren't going to listen to you. They don't know who you are. As far as they're concerned, you're some lunatic. So, you know, if you're somebody that's going to say, I know I did a trace route and packets are getting lost and you've got a bad switch, they're going to see you as a lunatic. They will figure it out on their own. That's their job, and you need to learn patience. One way or the other, your email won't make a difference to them. It won't fix anything any faster. And it won't go to the right people that need to see it. It gets gatekeeped away from the people so that they can focus on doing their work, and they'll get it done. So that's my advice to you. I get paid by my clients. I'm not paid by the ISP or by YouTube to fix their problems. And I've got other clients to help and other things to do with my time. I hope you value your time equally, because otherwise you are diminishing your value of your skills. If you're willing to give your skills out for free, then nobody's going to see any value in them, because you just set the price. You set the value. Say hello to everybody. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Let's get back over to the chat room here. Here we go. Hey, 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 there's Mark Baggett saying hello, David Herzog and David Graham. I also see Sean Skinner and Eddie Casanova joining us. Mark Gaines says hello. Los Santos Pro says hello. I don't know who that is, but they've been a member over 3 years. They must have had a name change, a handle change. Luke Greenia says hello, along with Gary Tatum, 3D Everything, and Mark Leibowitz. I also see our channel administrator, Mauralina, hanging out in the chat room. She did our thumbnail. Oh, she does all the thumbnails. And our video description. She answers your emails or brings them to my attention. And that's why you're getting responses in email so rapidly now, since it's not all on me. And she loves doing it. So don't be shy if you want to write in. Just use the email address. We'll put it on the screen here in a little bit. W.E. Holmes says hello. So does Jose Lopez. I also see, hold on, looking, where did it go? The chat room just scrolled on me and lost my position. There I am, okay. Andy W6AD joins us, and Michael Lavelle. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. Bull142 says hello, welcome in. Mortant joins us. Good to see you, my friend. Scott says hello. John Rogers says hello. Kransvat says hello. Mark Leibowitz said, I recently bought one of those Office 2024 keys from VIP-URCDKEys. They've now updated the listing to disclose that it's unbound, meaning it attaches to your PC, not to your Microsoft account, and they definitely stand behind it. That's what we love to hear. If we find out people are getting burned by somebody we support here, we're not going to support them any longer. So that would be a death sentence for their income. They have all the right reasons in the world to, if they want to stay in business and they want to keep the money rolling in, to make sure that you have a good experience. That's why I say that otherwise we wouldn't even take them on. You think I want to be somebody's support for free? But if I'm going to sit here and promote them, you're damn straight I'm going to do whatever I can to get involved to make sure that the right thing is done. And if I end up get involved a lot, it's not worth it to me to carry that vendor anymore. So you understand the motivation behind VIP-URCD keys to take care of you, that it's not just talk, because it doesn't financially add up for them to do anything else unless they plan on going out of business. And they've been in business over 10 years, so I don't think they're going anywhere. Los Santos Pro, now a member for 42 months. Right on. Thank you for that. Yeah, W. Holmes sees that the M2 here is $1,039, significantly cheaper than Amazon. Neil Garrett says, hey, Carey, Loco Moco food. Well, Loco Moco is a generic Hawaiian term for a very filling, cheap meal. That is a specific meal known to Hawaiians, but it's not a brand. It's essentially, it's a, what would be the word for that? A local or regional slang term, but the ingredients, or what is made up of it, are generally agreed upon, although there is no official standard. You could Google it, Loco Moco. It's pretty interesting. A unique aspect of Hawaiian life and culture. Stephen DeToit says hello, along with Paul Vercher and Anthony S.F. John Rogers say, how does Minisforum do this? I go, you know, I'm sure that's what all their competitors would love to know as well. Andy says it's the fact king of the hill right now, that Minisforum is the king of the hill. You know, when you look at the best sellers on Amazon, you're probably going to see Hamrui, GMK Tech, maybe even AOO Star. But the variety of number of machines you have to pick from is very limited, and those machines are best sellers because strictly price. They're not the best mini PCs out there, but maybe what's the expression I like to use? Not the best mini PC money can buy, but the best mini PC you can buy for the money. However, one of the problems a company like Minisforum, I imagine, has is by having so many products, the customer can't make up their mind, and then therefore they don't buy. You give a customer too many choices and they'll make no choice and they'll just walk away. Minisforum probably has more models available today than any other PC manufacturer. Big name brands like HP and Dell included, Asus, all of them. They smoke them out of the water. This is their specialty. This is what they do. They're the leader. They've got machines that nobody's been able to clone. Things like the G1, the G7. I mean, there's so many of them. Any of the Atom Mans are also unique. They've never been cloned. Nobody's been able to do it. So however they're doing it, how, you know, and why they're not 3 times more money for the expense of that engineering and tooling of a factory to make something so unique. You got me. I don't know how it works either. But do keep in mind that they've got PCs on the low, you know, budget end, mid-range, mid-range, high mid-range, low high end, mid-high end, and then of course gaming PCs, which would be above that, all in portable form factors. Some of those portable form factors still use discrete graphic cards, and some of them use the mobile graphics cards, which, you know, NVIDIA and AMD make mobile versions of the same video cards that you buy to put into your desktop, but they're lower power for the same model, like an RTX 4070 on a mobile platform doesn't run as well as a 4070 on the desktop. However, that's true of the CPUs as well. The mobile CPUs, on the mobile platform, you're focused on efficiency. You want battery life to last as long as possible. And just because something is 8% or 10% faster, I don't know if it justifies all of the consequences that come with that. To have this already built and so portable, you could probably drop this on the floor and it wouldn't cause any problem at all. They're rock solid machines. They take up less space, they're much quieter, and they use less electricity to run. So, you know, to each their own. But I'm very much looking forward to this. So we're going to get to unboxing here in just a minute. There's Charlie Purdy and Shamim Keshvir is joining us. Welcome in, guys. Shamim joining us all the way from Sweden. Filament on Fire says in our live chat, I've purchased 12 Minisforum minis in 3 years and I really like them. I did have 3 fail, but those were all Ryzen 6900X CPUs, so I suspect there was an AMD issue. 1 was replaced within warranty. Okay. I don't know what the warranty was on those, but I know the warranty today on most of these minis is 3 years. What I don't know is where you're buying it from. If you're buying it from Facebook Marketplace or some shady third-party seller because it saves you money, you may not get much of a warranty. On the other hand, if that 3-year warranty has been around and it applies to all models, then even 3 years you'd still have warranty. So I'm not sure why, if you've got 3 that failed within 3 years, then only 1 was under warranty, because I would think all 3 were. I'd have to look at the Minisforum website specifically for that model to see what they advertise the warranty as. Are they making it a 3-year warranty only on the higher end models? Or are they making it a 3-year warranty across the board and that's something new that they weren't doing? I'm not sure. We'd have to look into it. But I appreciate the follow-up. Things sometimes break, and the more things you have, the more items you have that can break. So if you had 9 Minisforum computers, they could all be running 3 years, no problem. You add those other 3, now suddenly you've got 3 bad ones, right? The way the math works out is pretty interesting and how you choose to look at it. But if you do have more tires on your car, you have a greater opportunity to experience a flat tire or a tire-related problem. An 18-wheeler tractor trailer, semi-truck, lorry obviously has 18 times the number of tires to worry about. So in any event, appreciate the update on that, and I'm sorry to hear you had any problem at all. W. Holmes said, I think Minisforum started offering the 3-year warranty fairly recently. Yeah, it may be a new change, but I still haven't verified if it affects every product or only the higher end products. Because I'd be surprised if a cheaper product came with a 3-year warranty. They're not making that much money on these. There's no possible way. So that seems like if you had a lot of warranty issues, that could put you out of business. And it's nobody, in no circumstance, are warranties good for business. You really want your customer to never have to send that in for warranty. And they do everything they can at the factory to make sure that everything's exactly the way it needs to be. But they can't control what happens in shipping, and they can't control what the end user does to it, and none of us can control acts of nature, weather events, power outages, and things like that that can damage electronics too. Who do we blame for that, right? Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me today. There's Slavko saying hello, and Boss says hello. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. All right, well, I think we need to get to some unboxing. I'm ready. All right, the Minisforum M2. This is an AI. Pull my head back and try. That is an AI series. That's what it says. And on the back, we've got our specs here, which match what I showed you on Amazon. This is not the bare bones unit. Minisforum could have been cheap. They could have saved a lot of money and just sent us a bare bones one. They treat us well. I will also tell you, we've been treated well by other companies whose products we didn't like. So we have to like them, and they have to treat us well. And you got a match made in heaven. And here we go. Oh, probably helps if I take the sleeve off first, huh? I think I'd know that by now, wouldn't you? I'm full of surprises. I am just quietly opening this. I think by now you guys ought to be able to recognize everything I'm taking out of the box without an explanation. You know what this is, don't you? Pretty sure you know what one of these are. Pretty sure you know what a power cable looks like. And of course, power adapter that says Minisforum. It does say Minisforum on it. What? Hold on, let me get this plastic. Is that on the plastic? Do yourself a favor, if you've got any film on anything new, take that off. It's only for protection in shipping. It can cause things to overheat. Look at how nice this is. It says 120 watts. I don't have to pull out my bigger glasses to read it. And it says Minisforum. Come on. That is fantastic. Well done. That is awesome. All right. Why is that so important? Because it's such a common type of connector on the end. This kind of end can plug into about 10 million different electronic devices that only work with about 7% of them on average. I'm making a number up. It's a very small amount that that would work without consequence if you just happen to get lucky. What happens when it doesn't work? It'll usually set the thing you plugged it into on fire. You'll see the magic smoke come out, and that'll be the end of whatever you plugged it into. And it's easy when it's new to remember this goes to this. But it's in the future, when you're moving something around, or maybe you're even moving to a different house or apartment, that things get unplugged, packed into boxes. And when you go to unpack the boxes, you might have several adapters that all have the same plug. And then you have to figure out, how do I know which plug to use? Well, if you're like the regular consumer, you plug it in and you go, well, it fits, it must be the right one. And that's how a lot of computers end up as e-waste, because of that level of ignorance and lack of education. So I always advise people to check and make sure the power adapter for anything that's important to you gets labeled if it's not already labeled. Whether that's with a label maker or, like in this case, a silver Sharpie indelible marker, and just write on it. You will thank me later. Like I say, when it's new, it's obvious. You know where it goes. It's in the future you got to worry about. So let's get it plugged in, turned on, and we just have little rubber plugs, it looks like, that need to be removed to get into this. Now, we don't need to get into this right now because it's already preloaded with RAM and storage. We'll do that later. Let's go ahead and plug it in, turn it on, fire it up for the very first time. Documentation, I'll put that down here as well. Let's see, what do I need? We're not plugging internet into this, right? You know that. So we're going to grab our HDMI 3. Where is it? Right here. This is the HDMI cable I wanted, which somehow got... How did this happen? Oh, all right. Oh, wouldn't it be great if everything were wireless? Then you'd have a whole nother slew of problems. Get the HDMI cable plugged in. I need a keyboard and a mouse, so pardon me for a second. I did not bring one up here prior to the show. I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll get that hooked up. We'll use the USB 2 port in the back for that. And we'll turn these on, like so. I need a power cable. I'll use my power cable. I'll leave the other one neatly tied up. These are very common power cables. Pretty much the majority of laptops use these power cables. Laptops use mobile, low power, energy efficient parts. So do mini PCs. And so therefore, this is one of the most common power cables you can buy. If you were to search for them on Amazon, you'd probably get a variety of several dozen to pick from in various colors and lengths. And I appreciate not having a proprietary power cable. Okay, I think we're ready to power it up. So let's hit the power button. Everything is live and unscripted. So if I get sent something that doesn't work or something that's damaged, we're going to see it together. Let's jump over to this video output over onto the streamer and see what this is doing right now. It's already booting. Okay, we should get a standard out-of-box experience here. We'll give that just a second. The Elgato no signal means the video output of the computer is stopped for some reason. But if you're patient, it should just come back here in a second. I'm not sure why it did that. It could be loading a driver, or did it turn off on me? Let me take a look here. See if my power is on. Power is still on. I can't hear it. It's completely quiet. So it may be loading a driver. I'm not sure. Let me do this. Let me put camera 1 in a corner so you can see what I'm doing. And that's why we do this live. So if anything unexpected happens, you don't have to panic about it. We'll figure out what's going on here in a second. First, I need to make sure it's not end user error. That's the very first place you need to start is ask yourself, what have I done wrong? So you notice when I unplug this cable, it makes no difference, right? Plug it back in just to reestablish the connection. And interesting, you saw the Minisforum logo spinning. I think I just wasn't patient enough, honestly. So anytime you do that first boot up, it does take longer than most. I just noticed there's a notch back here, which looks like the lid opens up, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know what that's for. We'll look at it later. Sorry, squirrel. Had a moment. All right, now you don't need to see me no more. Let's get rid of me, and let's go through our out-of-box setup. I always set these up exactly the same. How you do it is up to you. I'm just showing you the way I do it. Okay. Let's English, United States, yeah. And my region is United States. And my keyboard is United States. No other languages, no other countries, no other regions. Don't have internet is when I'm clicking there. Accept the license agreement. Username of user with a blank password. Turn off all of the security settings except for location, so our date and time will be maintained and set, and you'll never have to adjust it in the entire ownership of years of this computer. It'll always have the right time, right down to the second, including daylight saving. It'll automatically adjust if you don't turn all the privacy features on. If you turn the privacy features on, you lose a lot of functionality. And if you want to do that to yourself because you think you're so important that people give a rat's behind what you do, enjoy your bubble. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're so much better off, in my opinion, just living your life and blending in like the rest of us. The minute you do something that makes you stand out, that's suspicious and draws attention. I want you to think about that. Do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. Just saying, sometimes if you just want to blend in and not stand out, then blend in and stop standing out. Kind of common sense, isn't it? In just a moment here, it'll take us to the desktop. Once we get to the desktop, we're good to go. That means we can check what version of Windows we've got, which build number. We can hit Windows Update. We can start configuring the machine the way we want it. So this is just anytime you build a computer yourself or you buy a brand new computer that you're the first owner, this should be your experience. It should never just boot right to the desktop unless you've paid someone like me to take care of that for you. Okay, that didn't take too long. And if we look and see what version of Windows we have, when we right-click on the Start menu and go to System, it shows a terabyte of storage, 32 gigs of installed RAM. It shows the processor. Scroll down here, Windows 11 Pro. We are now starting to see 25H2 regularly on new mini PC models. If you buy a very inexpensive mini PC, it's likely made 6 months to 3 years ago when it's excess inventory. And as a result, you're probably still going to have 24H2 on it. Minisforum just released this computer, like last week. They just announced it. So given it's been over 6 months since 25H2 came out, that's right on target for when we start to see it installed at factory level on new machines. And we're only a couple updates behind. We're on 26.200.7.4.6.2. That means our Windows updates won't take very long. Of course, the device manager is already taking care of us, all the drivers. If you buy the bare bones unit, you'll have to install the drivers, and we'll check Minisforum later and see that the drivers are available and that they work. But everything's perfect in here, as you can tell. Now, what I'm going to do, and I want you to watch this globe down here on the bottom right. I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable now, and for the very first time, this is when we plug it in to the internet or connect to the Wi-Fi on any new build, new laptop, new mini PC, or new computer bought from pre-built from any manufacturer. There's no exceptions. Plug that in. Now watch that globe, because it should start to show a little monitor with a flashing cable in just a second. There it is. And then that will go solid once it's ready to go. Once it establishes communication with my router. There it goes. Just takes a second. That will automatically adjust the date and time, which is way off. What is it? No, it isn't. It's dead on. It's perfect. Okay, perfect. Let's go Start, Settings, and Windows Update. The very first thing you want to do when you build a new computer and you install your operating system, or you're doing a reinstall of an operating system, before you get too comfortable and start putting all your apps and printers and all the other nonsense that you have on there, I call it nonsense. It might be really important stuff. Make sure that all your basic functionality works first, or you may just be wasting your time. I don't know why I'm getting I have a Samsung monitor, but it's identifying it as an AOC. Oh, you know why? That's the video capture card. Okay. And then there's an Intel network driver update. So we'll download and install all of that along with all the other missing updates. Well, it does that. The other thing I like to do under Advanced is I turn off this delivery optimization, which is great if you're in an office with dozens of computers, but in a home, it won't benefit you. It may not be hurting anything either, but I just turn it off. I'll type in edit power, that's close enough, power plan. And we're going to make sure the machine does not go to sleep on us while we're live, because that's embarrassing. People think something's wrong when the computer's just doing what it was told to do. And then over here, when I save that, it says change what all the power buttons do. Microsoft has decided to default the power button to sleep mode, which only makes sense if you have batteries. When I hit the power button on the computer, I want the computer to go through the power down cycle no differently than going to start, shut down, power, and then shut down. That will do all of that automatically with the power button, so long as we tell it to. Computers used to have a separate button for sleep mode. They don't really have that anymore. I'd like to see that whole option go away. But I guess for backwards compatibility, Microsoft's keeping it in there. And that just is part of the confusion people have. If it's not needed, why is it there? Well, because it's not needed by you. All right, so people, these days, they don't really think about anybody but themselves, generally speaking. Not you guys, but the general consumer. And if it doesn't appeal to them, then they don't understand why it would appeal to anybody. So I imagine that's probably why that old feature is still there. Okay, so while that updates, let me grab camera 1 again, and I'll put myself in the corner. We've had a little bit of drop frames. Very, very little bit. Well within tolerance. Sometimes we have a perfect broadcast. We can go 3-4 hours without a drop frame. In fact, that's normal. So whatever it is improving. Whatever the ISP is doing, whatever YouTube, I don't know who's to blame, but it's better. And it's well within the fault tolerance. We've been on for nearly an hour, and we've only lost 428 frames. We're putting out 30 frames every second. So that's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. You tell me how many frames have we sent out? Subtract out missing 428 that got corrupted or dropped. That's a pretty good connection at this pace. 4K video is pretty serious, resource intensive, bandwidth intensive. I'm sure if I went to 1080, I'd have a lot more leeway, but I mean, we have all of the equipment investment for 4K, including the monthly internet connection, which is quite a bit of money to be able to do this. So why would I do that and then not use it? Spikeman said about the power adapters that he's done exactly, we've all done it. That's why I say you got to label them. He said he decided to get a network hub that was in his closet, dust it off, and start using it again. But he couldn't find the power cord. So he found a power cord and said, well, this looks like it fits. Guess what happened? Plugged it in, it went boom, and then he just took that hub that he'd been saving in the closet for some future day and put it into the trash can because it was no longer valid. He exploded it. He electrocuted it. So it's no joke. Now, thankfully, hubs are cheap. But, you know, to go through the trouble of saving it in case you might need it on some rainy day, and then the rainy day comes and you did not mark the power adapter, this is how it happens. So if you mark the adapter brand new when you first bought it, and you're all excited about your new purchase, that's when you do it, because if you don't do it then, you probably never will. And then years or months will go by, and then you'll say, oh yeah, that happened to me too. I guarantee you, we're going to see that again from another viewer in the future. It's human nature. I don't offer that to my clients. I do it whether they like it or not. They get the power adapters are labeled. I don't do that for them. I do it for me. So just so you know, they don't get asked. But that's neither here nor there since this one's labeled. I'd love to see that be an industry standard for this very reason, that consumers, generally speaking, they don't care about anything until it affects them. They'd rather be reactive rather than proactive. It's their money and it's their trouble, their time. I assume people don't like that, but they must like it because that's what they mostly do to this day. Otherwise, why else wouldn't they mark it? I'll tell you why. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to forget. Forget what? I don't know. What were we talking about? It's only been 40 seconds. Especially as we get older. In life, you know, you're trying to do 10 million things at once. All the responsibilities of adulting. And I do it to myself all the time. I don't need to write that down. I'll remember. Remember what? Oh, I should have wrote it down. As a kid, it was a lot easier to remember stuff when life wasn't just hitting you from every angle, you know? So don't feel like you're cheating or you're not living up to your own standard. You're asking too much of yourself to remember such little details from so many thousands of things and daily stuff we deal with as adults. You're doing yourself a favor. Or don't, you know, I guess. Don't do it. See how that works out for you. Scott Messersmith says hello. Bernie joins us in our chat room. If you're watching live, we're not like people don't seem to understand this YouTube channel, which I think is amusing and hilarious and sad. People will come in and go, wow, it's a 3-hour video. Who's got time for that? We're not here to watch a commercial. We're here to hang out. We're here to talk to each other. I can come over to your house for dinner, but it has to be 16 minutes or less. Well, don't bother. You know, we want your company, and the food. You're not there for the food. We're there for the company, and well, we're eating. This is our food. You guys are our company, and we're like in a little clubhouse where we all get to hang out and enjoy each other's company. It's no wonder that some outsider that refuses to be a part of our community complains that they've just alienated themselves and they've refused to understand. No matter how many times I explain it, there's a certain number of viewers, it goes in one ear and out the other, and they just won't get it. All you have to do is join us during a live video, pop into that chat room, and you'll see those 3 hours go by quick as you engage in thoughtful conversation, meaningful conversation with other members of the chat, and develop these friendships that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And you won't even come here for the content anymore. You'll start coming here just for the chat, and you'll wish you had more time to chat. 3 hours isn't enough. Just watch these videos. So half of this channel, half of what I'm bringing you or offering you is community. And if you are not part of this community, it's no wonder you don't know what's going on, and that's why you're upset. But once you figure out what we're doing here, and should you choose to be a part of it, then you'll get it, and you'll say, why aren't there more YouTube channels like this? But because we're one of the only ones doing this, we're not the only one. There's a handful of others. Doug Betts takes care of this, very similar in his community and the involvement during the videos, as does our friend Mike's Unboxing, Reviews and How-To out of England. And there's this constant back and forth and interaction. Otherwise, go watch TV. That's my attitude. You're not going to talk to Stephen Colbert. You can send him all the emails in the world. You're not going to get a reply. So if that's the case, that's what you like, go watch traditional TV. What we're trying to do is embrace the future, and I expect more and more YouTube channels will rely more on their community and connection, and the community connection within each other, so that even if the channel were to be shut down or something were to happen to the content creator, the community will find a way to hang out together, and those friendships will endure, even though the people in that community could be 20,000 miles apart from, I guess that's not possible. They could be half a world away and would otherwise never meet each other. It's really cool. It's a really neat sense of community and belonging that we used to have in our neighborhoods that nobody knows their neighbors anymore in the big suburban areas anyway. And so this is like little town America like it used to be. When I was growing up, people knew each other. So we're recreating that in the digital world, and I think it's the coolest thing ever. And I hope if you've not ever entertained a chat room before, you try ours, because we're the kindest. Nobody's going to beat up on you unless you're a jerk. You're not going to do well here if you're a jerk. But if you're a nice person, oh, you're going to fit right in. Just pop in and say hello while we're live. HELLO. How hard is that? And if you can't be bothered, we don't miss you. Honestly. If you're just lurking, we don't know you're there. So obviously, you're not going to get any acknowledgement or appreciation from us, because we don't know who you are, and you can't be bothered to introduce yourself. Imagine if you did that in a real-life party. If you walked into a room and you refused to make eye contact or say hello to anybody, and you just became a wallflower watching, and everybody's having a good time but you, whose fault is that? See, I'm never going there again. That place sucked. No, it wasn't the place. All right. With that, let's see how our update's doing. We're getting there. A little bit of fan noise, not too bad, but I know it's running. This one is a little bit louder, so if I didn't have this running, I could probably hear this better. But that'll give you an indication, at least for me anyway, of noise level. It's not disruptive. And it also gives me peace of mind that it does have a fan and it is running. Now, before this gets ready to reboot, if you have any questions for me, this will be the time to ask in the chat room. I'll do my best to provide an answer, a link, or direct you to where an answer could be found. Whether it's about the Minisforum M2 or other subject matter, I'd be happy to take your questions right now, because once we have to reboot, Then I need to put my focus back on this, and then after that, however long that takes, we'll come back over and pay attention to the chat. I cannot do both at the same time. That's the complexity of doing this live. I don't want to alienate anybody. I want everybody to feel welcome, seen, and heard. Frank Jimmy says hello. Ripple Snakes joining us. Richard DeFries says hello. There's Sweet saying hello. Right on. Well, thank you for saying hello. Welcome in. We're happy to see all of you. All of those friends in green are our supporters. They're the ones who make these videos possible. Without them, we would not be making today's video. So everybody who's watching the videos for free, who enjoys the content, it's because of everybody in green that you have the content to enjoy. If the people in green go away, all of our support structure will be gone and the channel will collapse. Unless we were to take on a corporate sponsorship and we start just gushing about how good a company is without ever mentioning anything bad, because we would jeopardize getting paid. Is that what you want? There's plenty of YouTube tech channels that do that now. We don't want to be a part of that, ever. If I like a product and I'm telling you I like it, it's because I truly like it, not because I'm worried about upsetting the company and I won't get paid. Again, very few tech YouTube channels operate with that principle, but I have a business to run, and I wouldn't flat out lie to my customers like a stereotype car salesman. Not all car salesmen are stereotypes. You know, driven by a little old lady in Pasadena, low mileage, great condition. Snake oil salesman. The internet's filled with that. You know that. Even what you think is a respectable YouTube channel, if you saw how those videos are getting paid for, it'd be just like learning how hot dogs are made. You would be appalled and disgusted of the lack of, I don't want to say the lack of morals. They just have different morals. Their morals is making more money is better. With more money, we can make more content. We can hire editors. We can hire a film crew. We can do so much more with millions of dollars being a media company. But at that point, you're no longer a community-based YouTube channel. Now you're a corporation that's basically making commercials. And those content creators make a lot of money. If you look at the homes and the cars these people drive, I don't have anything like that. That's why this isn't that popular. The bottom line is, being greedy in this industry will help out the person that's collecting the money. And sometimes you get people fooled where they'll be loyal to you and defend you when all you're doing is basically treating them like a number. There's no sense of return of appreciation to the community from these content creators. The way, you know, we call everybody out by name. The big content creators might say, oh, well, we have way more viewers than you do, Carey. We couldn't possibly do that. That's an interesting excuse, isn't it? Anyway, just know what you're watching. Know where it comes from. And if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with you not knowing. But if you don't want to know, don't show me how the hot dog is made. I respect that as well. There's a very dirty side to this that is not it's not commonly known what's really happening for the most part on those really big YouTube tech channels. They're spending, on average, if it's not $1 million a year, it's pretty damn close to it. My YouTube channel wouldn't generate $1 million a year. It could generate $1 million in about, I think, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. 40 years, potentially, it could earn $1 million. So I can't spend $1 million, right? I don't have it to spend. As a result, I can't make the kind of content and the extravagance that some of them make. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying two very different principles be how the channel's financed, and that enables what we can and cannot do. Whenever you're watching these extravagant videos, I don't know about you, but I think, how did they pay for that? How much do you think all of that cost? How many camera operators do they seem to have? They probably have an audio specialist. They probably have a lighting specialist. You know, Mr. Beast started out like everybody else, and look at how big he's become. And that money enables him to do a lot of good things. So in and of itself, it's not bad. It's the problem that people don't think about it. For me, it's a problem. And if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. But not knowing, all that just kills me that people can't tell the difference. I'll get over it. All right. So just about done here with this update. Looks like one left that's installing. And let me just look through the comments to see if there's questions. Andy wants to know if this is a metal or plastic case. Well, the top is plastic. I think this is all plastic. So there shouldn't be any Wi-Fi interference. Metal cases look very elegant, but they tend to show fingerprints, and they tend to act as shields to the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, reducing range. That's the price you pay because you want it to be more attractive. It also costs more. Plastic's cheaper, doesn't scratch as easily, doesn't leave fingerprints, and the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth range aren't going to be impeded by the plastic. Also, lighter weight too. Not that Andy specified any preference, he's just asking. I like to be thorough. You don't know me by now in my answers to avoid those follow-ups. Welsh joins us from Wales in the UK. Well, that checks out. Jim Kenny says hello. Patrick Manny says hello. Hope you guys are comfortable, settled into your chair or however you're watching. And this should be a good show here. I'm really interested in the amount of power in such a small package. Now, normally I'd say for my business clients, stick with like an Ultra 5 because that gives them the balance of power. Anything lower than an Ultra 5 or even a Ryzen 5, I would not sell to my business clients. It's got to be Ultra 5 or Ryzen 5, but most of my business clients don't want AMD, right? Whatever reason, they don't want it. So when we go to Ultra 7 or Ultra 9, we end up getting to spend more money where the performance isn't going to make any difference for office work, at least from all of my clients and a variety of, you know, accountants and dentists and lawyers and, you know, real estate agents. They don't need that kind of power. So why do they want to spend money they don't need to spend for power they don't need to have? That extra power also costs more in electricity, creates more heat, and creates more fan noise. In an office, there's usually enough distraction. You don't need any more fan noise or any other noise for that matter. Phones are ringing, people are talking, business is happening, it's noisy. Even in an office, it can get, you know, people come in, they want to talk to you while you're trying to work and you're on the phone and you've got a screen up and you're trying to balance 3 things at the same time. The last thing you need is listening to any distracting sounds. But from what I'm hearing from this Ultra 7 is as quiet as an Ultra 5. So apart from the price discrepancy, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this to a client where the added power would be beneficial. But I wouldn't recommend it if it's just such an overkill of power that, you know, they're going to continue to operate their business with no plans on making any major changes the next few years. Buying anything other than an Ultra 5 would be a waste of money. If they wanted it, I'd sell it very, very happily. It certainly seems to be of the same quality of any other Minisforum we've seen. So it's really just about the power and the cost of that additional power. But yeah, we're looking really good here. But like I said, I showed you the screenshot of the Cinebench results on the M1 Lite. I've never seen a mini computer or any other computer run that cool in my life. That's leaving it bone stock, leave it alone. That's already the way the engineers designed it. They've already done all the math. You don't have to go in there and monkey around with it. It's already been done for you. All you can do is make it worse. So that's my opinion on that, and you do what you want. But when you buy the cheap stuff and you have to keep massaging it to get it right, that's what happens when you buy the cheap stuff. When you buy the good stuff, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it'll be more expensive than the cheap stuff because all of this is done for you, usually. We'll see how this one does comparison-wise, because it is a hotter processor. I don't expect it'll run that cool. I don't expect to ever see a computer run that cool again, quite frankly. But stay tuned when we do the follow-up on the M1 Lite. and I'll show you live. W. Holmes says, what kind of business customers would I recommend the M2 to? Anybody that's got some resource intense type work. So as you can imagine, there's millions of businesses, from insurance companies and grocery stores, construction companies, doctors and lawyers in the medical industry, regulatory agencies, governmental agencies, educational, environmental, people that work from home. Maybe, a very common job where people are self-employed that work from home and they're their only employee, real estate agent. In fact, even real estate agents that work for a parent company often work from home. I don't know in that situation if the parent company provides them a computer. I don't think it does. I think you're on your own, but you have to follow all of their protocol and procedures for security. There are architects and engineers, designers, creators, whether that is in sound processing, video processing, AutoCAD, rendering, MATLAB. It's such a wide open question you're asking me. I don't really decide what a customer should buy. I'll ask a customer, what do you do? Do you plan on doing anything else in the lifetime of the computer, let's say the next 4 or 5 years? Are you planning on expanding into other areas, or is this pretty much all you're planning to do? Do we need to, future-proof you for that, or just get what you need today and that will be happy for many years because you're not changing anything that you know of? And how much money do you want to spend? Like, there's so many variables for me to make a recommendation. But at the end of the day, if the customer says, I appreciate the recommendation, but I already know what I want, I'm fine with that too. If I wanted to render my videos on this will handle that just fine. Yeah, I use Cyberlink Power Director. It'll run great on this with the built-in video. I can edit and render up 4K video. This won't have a problem with that. I'm not saying it'll do the best. I mean, we could spend more money and get an even higher end processor and even more RAM and even more storage. You can never overspend on video editing. But if you try and do video editing on the really low end machines, you'll be sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. It'll do it. It just might take you an hour to produce a 10-minute video. So we are what I would consider on this model ideally fit for somebody that wants a high-end computer, but not an ultra high-end. They don't want a gaming computer. That would be ultra high-end. And they don't want the biggest, loudest, most power-hungry, expensive thing on the market. On the other hand, they also don't want the cheapest thing. So the most common answer is right down the middle, that Ultra 5 or Ryzen 5. And somebody might say, yeah, it's just a little underpowered for me. I'm not comfortable with the amount of time I think or life I'm going to get out of it. I'd like to bump it up a little bit just so I don't have to replace it again because of obsolescence or the fact that it's, really becoming slow with resources of future applications requiring more and more from the computer. And you say, okay, well, between the ultra high end and the high mid range, you have something like this. You're right around $1,000 price point. It's generally, for me, based on price, where I'm determining low from mid to high to gaming. Gaming will always be the most expensive outside of servers, but I don't sell servers, so yeah. Can you do any gaming with it? That's what Welsh wants to know. Yeah, absolutely. You can do gaming on it, but it's not sold for that reason. So basically, if your gaming is retro gaming, if you're gaming, unfortunately, that's such an open-ended question. I mean, technically, playing solitaire is gaming, and every computer at any price does that easily. There's esports gaming. There's role play gaming. There is first-person shooter gaming. There's side-scroller gaming. There's simulation, flight simulation, driving simulation. I'm trying to think of an example of why that's such a terrible question. I appreciate the question, but it's a horrible question to ask anybody. Because when you said gaming, I don't know what you meant by that. Because to me, gaming is Galaga. I assume everybody knows what Galaga is. But to you, gaming might be Fortnite, or it might be Microsoft Flight Simulator. And depending on the game, some of these games require some pretty high-end specifications. So if you say to any computer, will it game? The answer is yes. Always. Every computer can game. Will it game to what you're defining gaming to be? With over 1 million games to choose from? I'm sure there are some that are going to run great and some that aren't going to run great. What I would recommend you do is just go to Google or open your favorite chatbot, AI chatbot, and ask it what your game is that you're playing. Will Cyberpunk 2077 run well on a Minisforum M2? Or just the name of the processor, doesn't matter who makes it, on an Ultra 7 356H or whatever it is, I've already forgotten the number. Because any computer that has that chip should all game equally the same within a tolerance of error that shouldn't make much difference from one manufacturer to another with regards to the gaming performance. When the video and the CPU are all built together, they're all going to run basically the same regardless. Any computer with that chip, is what I mean to say, will run that game within tolerance of error exactly the same way. So any computer can game. It's a simple question with a very complex answer. Why is the sky blue? How much time do you have? Let's sit down and talk about the atmosphere. All right. R.W. Roble says hello. Edward Bass joins us. Welcome in, guys. I also see... Who did I just see in there a second ago? Where did they go? Andy mentions if gaming is your focus, Minisforum does offer other machines around this price range that are designed for a focus on gaming. This is not focused on gaming. Doesn't mean it won't do it. Rick Lakes, that's who I was looking for. Welcome in, Rick. I knew there was somebody in there I wanted to say hello to that I missed. Dustin Fuller says hello. Anthony McGregor says hello. Welcome in, Anthony. R.W. Roble says, my game back then was Ms. Pac-Man. I never liked pattern games. We just have a joystick. It's a one-handed game, and all you got to do is memorize the patterns. There's no skill in that. So, you know, I'm kind of a snob when it comes to that kind of stuff. That was like for the girls. They could play video games with the one little joystick. No hand-eye coordination is really needed. But I'm a bit of a snob in that way. You know, even Galaga, you're only going left and right in fire. It's pretty basic, but at least there's still two hands involved. Other games like Defender or Stargate, you could go up, down, left, right, and then you had hyperspace, thrust, fire, reverse. It was way too many buttons. I couldn't coordinate it. So to somebody else's eyes, I'm the one being girly by going, oh, I got a joystick and a button. Yeah. Sometimes I had two buttons on Moon Patrol. Again, no up or down, just left or right, but you could jump and you could fire. I could handle that. That's a level of coordination. And there were some games like Gorf, where you could go up, down, left, right, and fire, but then you only had one button. So Pac-Man, 0 buttons. Any of the Pac-Man games, no buttons, just up, down, left, right. And then if you memorize the patterns, you don't need any skill. You just follow the patterns and you'll get through the entire game. So let me just turn my nose up. Very popular game to be turning my nose up at. But I enjoy playing it from time to time, but it's so basic and simple. I like something a little bit more skill involved. John Blaine said, hello everyone, I'm a 52-year electronics tech. Carey, I bought your Windows 11 optimizer, installed it on my older HP laptop. It definitely sped things up, and the computer runs cooler and quieter. That's a heck of an endorsement. Did it also make you taller and more attractive to women? I have a sick sense of humor. What I meant to say was, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. I don't want you to oversell it. But yeah, depending on the machine, it can make quite a difference. Absolutely. I don't know how it would affect cooling, but you know, without knowing the condition of the machine and how it was previously set up, the optimizer optimizes all of that. So if it wasn't previously optimized, it's what he's saying is entirely possible and not exaggerated. It can affect your cooling. I never really thought about it until now, but yeah. And thank you for your feedback and welcome in. And a new member as well. So thank you for becoming a supporter, John. We're glad to have you here, especially when you have such nice things to say. Michael Belanger said, hello everybody. Should you scan the mini PC for viruses before connecting it to the internet? Well, let me ask you a question. If you bought a PC from Dell or Lenovo or HP, pre-built, maybe you went to Best Buy and bought it, would you think it's necessary to scan it for viruses? Or do you feel that these companies are so big and trustworthy, there's no possible way they're shipping with viruses? There's no harm in scanning it for viruses, but we're not going to find any. Minisforum is as reputable and has, if you want to Google, if you don't know, let me show you something. We're waiting anyway, so let me demonstrate what's, and I don't know what's going to happen, but let's do it live. Let's bring up Microsoft Copilot, and let's go to screen capture. Where is it? Window capture. That's window capture Copilot. Okay. And let's ask it, has Minisforum ever released a computer with a virus or malware Minisforum has no documented cases of ever shipping a computer that contained a pre-installed malware or a virus. This is across all available reporting and community investigations. There is no evidence that Minisforum has ever, in the entire history of the company, released a computer with a virus or malware. Okay? Absolutely no confirmation. Now, Ace Magic did have a problem, which they've since corrected. Minisforum is consistently listed among reputable Chinese mini PC manufacturers with no known security breaches in the entire history of the company. So do you feel, having known that you still want to scan it for viruses? Because you can. It's your time. If that's what you need to ease your anxiety, do it. But if I thought for a second they would be sending us machines with viruses, I wouldn't be bothered to show them to you, because I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to embarrass myself and get all excited about a machine and then find out it's infected. That would be humiliating for me. Also, you may choose to just reinstall your operating system anyway. You'd notice when we went through our out-of-box experience, it said English and in parentheses United States. That was the first question it asked. When I install Windows 11, I install a United States regioned version of the media. In China, they're using an international version of the media that can associate to any country they're shipping it to.
There's a slight variation in how the operating system looks. It doesn't affect the OS operation, but just how it looks. That if I, as somebody who sells computers, I want every computer I sell to be the same. So I would, regardless, wipe this and reinstall my regioned version of Windows 11 instead of the international version, just so if a customer calls with support questions, they're not explaining a screen I don't know. Such as, it says English United States. Well, it should just say English. It shouldn't say United States. But that's one way that I can tell if we're using an international versus a United States region installer. But the international one is designed to accommodate any region. But it is a little bit different, little tiny bit different in some of the screens and the options you see, which can make it very difficult to support if you're not doing them all the same. If you're selling some computers with one version of Windows and some computers with another, good luck supporting that in the months and years that follow when that customer calls you and you can't remember what they've got. So the good news is if you order bare bones, you save money and you're going to install your OS yourself. So if it has malware, that's on you. And you could always install Malwarebytes for free and run a free scan if that makes you feel better. And you can always wipe and reinstall it anyway, which is ultimately what I'll do before I do anything with this, even though there's nothing wrong with the international version. But for support reasons, it's easier on me if they're all the same. So I will use my flash drive that I've shown you guys how to make that has Windows 11 direct from Microsoft for free and legal. And this is the latest 25H2 with all these updates already on here. So your choice, whatever you prefer. What about Asteroids? I never got into the video game Asteroids. I never cared for it. It's a skill I don't have to spin the ship and hit the thrusters, and then with space, your momentum keeps moving you forward. So you have to fire your thrusters, which means you have to turn the ship around. And you just have buttons. You don't have like a dial. You have to just keep pressing the button and getting the timing right to get the ship to stop spinning, hit the thrusters, and then you end up I end up overcorrecting and going the other way. The closest thing to Asteroids that I played that I loved would be Lunar Lander. It's such a fun game. But it has a lot of the same number of buttons and spatial momentum for correction and steering. The only difference is instead of dodging asteroids, you're trying to land on a little tiny platform on the edge of a cliff. And if you don't hit it just dead on, or you hit it too fast, your lander explodes. Yeah, Lunar Lander. They just came out with a little miniature version about this big of an exact replica, just shrunken. It's about $350 on Amazon, and I want it. But I don't have the money for it. But it's got the throttle. It's just a miniaturized throttle. It's really, it looks neat. But I'll wait because it's new. The price will come down. I'll wait till it gets cheaper. I do have a miniature Asteroids. I just never play it. Is this still downloading? What is it doing? It seems like it's taking a long time. I didn't expect these updates to take this long. Oh, it's waiting on Microsoft. This is a Microsoft issue. So let's go ahead and restart now, and that will force it to reconnect back to the server on the reboot, which I think will make it faster. Sometimes interrupting updates ultimately makes the updates take longer. We're rolling the dice on this, but I want to keep moving forward with the review. We're already an hour and a half into this, and we're not even done updating it yet. I'd like to open it and see what it looks like on the inside today. And then we'll see with time remaining if there's time for running any benchmarks on it. Otherwise, we may have to extend this out to a part 2. But we still, we could go another hour and a half tops. We'll see how things progress and decide. Because this is live and unscripted, maybe we can get through it, maybe we won't. Knowing me, we probably won't, but that's why we can always do a follow-up in a part 2. Welsh wants what's the best VPN. VPNs are a big scam for consumers. It's like asking me what's the best semi truck I should buy. Why are you buying a semi truck? Do you own a distribution company? Do you have the means to park it in your neighborhood without pissing off your neighbors or violating your rules of your city? Because I can't. So an end user asking what the best VPN, it would be no different than asking me if Volvo or Peterbilt make a better semi truck. That's an industry question. VPNs are for industry, they're not for individuals. When you're protecting customer data and you want to know what the best VPN is, let's talk. But if you think that's doing anything for you personally, that's the scam. And if you're interested in learning more about it, there's plenty of YouTube channels that will say, just go into YouTube, type in why VPNs are a scam, and watch the screens full of content creators going into the details on how you're being manipulated as a consumer for a tool that's designed for businesses that might as well be telling you need to buy a semi truck. It's preposterous. I don't have any neighbors with forklifts in their garage. Do you need a forklift in your garage? Because you don't represent a typical neighbor in my neighborhood. But if you have a warehouse with a company, you probably have multiple forklifts. So if you're asking me what's the best forklift to buy, for what purpose? What do you need a forklift for? It's an industry question, not a consumer question. Just so you know, unless you have customer data to protect, VPNs will not do anything for you. If you work for a company and that company says you can work from home, they will provide you the VPN. You don't get to decide. As the employee, that's not your decision. It's made for you by the corporation, and that's what VPNs are for. No other reason. Any other reason they're being used, there's usually some sort of deviance. Something is happening in most cases that home users find VPNs to use it for a deviant purpose, and we're not here to. I'm not saying there couldn't be a legitimate reason, but people that technical wouldn't need to ask that question. You understand what I'm getting at? Like if you're doing that kind of work. But save your money. Unless you just like to spend money you don't need to spend to make your internet run a lot slower than it needs to run because you like the theater of security when it doesn't really do anything for you. In which case, don't let me get in your way. There's no such thing as a recommended VPN for a consumer. There's no such thing as a recommended forklift either for a consumer. I cannot advise you on that. It's because of the marketing that the VPN companies do that the end users are being manipulated by the marketing companies. They just want your money. It doesn't matter. The same with vitamins, right? You can go into a nutrition center and they'll tell you this vitamin does this and this vitamin, but they have to be very careful because the FDA restricts what kind of promises and claims they can make. And you might find some vitamins work for you, but you also might find they don't. So if it works for you for real or even for placebo, continue to buy it. But in my experience, most of them are all an illusion. They don't really do anything. Even the cheaper vitamins especially, they don't even dissolve. They've done studies, Consumer Reports has done it, where they go right through you, right into the toilet, and they still look exactly the same. They did not dissolve at all. Imagine paying $60 for a little bottle of vitamins. And when you use the bathroom, you see the entire vitamin coming out of you, not dissolved. How much of a fool would you feel if you were convinced that was helping you when you have evidence that it never even dissolved? Just saying. Kind of a disgusting thing to talk about, but it's true. But if you have something that works for you, keep using it. Doesn't mean it'll work for anybody else. All right, so we've rebooted. Let me get rid of camera one so I can see what this wants. Oh, backing up. I'm going to say opt out of that for right now. Skip for now. And then let's go back to Windows Update and see if we can grab that last update faster than it was running. I also think I'm in 4K mode, so let me drop this to 1080. Display settings. Yep. Drop that to 1080. What else can I do to keep myself busy? Let's go back to Windows Update. These retry on the drivers, that's because these drivers are already installed in the background, and these are duplications. Look at how much faster that is since we rebooted. So that'll kick us right along. I want to change this theme. I don't like this theme, so I'm going to go to personalize, not display settings, personalize. I want the Windows 11 basic theme. It's just easier on my eyes, and I like to keep everything the same for all my clients. Everything's always the same, so I'm not pulling my hair out trying to figure out the support question I'm being asked. If they're always the same, I should get questions that I can understand. What is this weird blue thing in the center of my desktop? What are you talking about? Oh, the default wallpaper. I see. Okay. Then down here, like there's a lot of icons being hidden, like there's problems with antivirus. Why would they hide that, Microsoft? What are you doing? So I go and change that, and I'll turn these features off, but I'll go into the other system tray icons, and I don't use OneDrive, but I want to see everything I am using, which they're turning off by default. I don't want them hidden. I always want them visible, and that's all that's doing for me, is keeping it in my line of vision without me having to think about hitting this up arrow to see what else is hiding. So let's double click on this to see what it's complaining. Oh, it wants us to set up OneDrive. No, thank you. It wants us to set up OneDrive. No, thank you. It wants us to turn on app and browser control. Why isn't that on by default? Of course we want that on. Now it's happy, but when it was hidden, I didn't even know it was unhappy. Nothing brought that to my attention unless I manually looked. That's why it needs to be on by default. Microsoft has this all backwards, in my opinion, but you know, you could set it up the way you want it regardless of how Microsoft does it. You don't have to live with it the way Microsoft sets it up out of the box. Okay, back over to Windows Update here. See how we're progressing. Well, did the download start over? What just happened? I lost my big screen view of it here. Why did that download start over? That was weird, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, this is not mission critical. This gets us to 26.200.8457, which would be the latest version. And there's something going on with Microsoft that's taking so long. It has nothing to do with Minisforum. So I'm going to just close it out, and we're going to shut it down so we can open this thing up. We can move on with the show. Let me go back to camera 1, full screen. Full screen, I said. There it is. Did this turn off? Yeah, power light is off. Absolutely need to remove power. And if I don't remove all the cables, it kind of restricts the movement that I have here on the desk, which can cause an accident. It can fall off the table, etc., etc. So for safety reasons, we unplug all the cables. I can leave the USB plugged in. Although sometimes, if you leave anything plugged in, and this, let's say we remove these screws, and 3/4 of this lifts up, it won't lift up with something plugged in. And it looks like it might just do that. So let's take that out too. So we're not trying to figure out why the two halves won't separate once the screws are removed, because you've got something plugged in. You couldn't be bothered to unplug, and you created your own troubleshooting. You're gonna have to figure out what you just did to yourself. What's wrong with this Minisforum? No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's you. I do this to myself all the time. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm saying this is what I go through. Why did I make my life so difficult? And you could just say, oh, I'll wait and see what happens. But if you choose that option, then you know where to start with the diagnosis, right? Start with you. I've got these little, they're called probe tools, and Harbor Freight Tools sells these. You get a package of 5 of them for like $5. And the ones I had are many years old, and the ends have gotten all bent from me using them over the years. And the little protectors that you put on the end so you don't poke yourself, because they're pretty sharp-ended, those have got holes in them, and they've yellowed over time. So I threw all those in the trash. I went to Harbor Freight, treated myself to a new set of brand new, exactly the same tools I already had. But now these are brand new, never used, and everything's clean. I just threw the other ones in the trash. I got my money's worth out of them. I mean, I used them a lot. You guys, if you just do this for fun, you probably wouldn't. It would take you a lot longer to cause the amount of wear and tear that I put on them. And for $1 a piece to have them for, I don't know, 10 years, I feel pretty good about throwing them away and treating myself to a nice new, not bent, the edges and all torn up. I deserve $5 worth of new tools. Oh. Well, my eyes have been playing a trick on me. I thought there were little rubber plugs in here. Look at this. It's just the way the lighting in the studio is. Because from a certain angle, you can see if you agree. I'm not sure about the camera's going to pick it up. Kind of looks like there's a rubber plug there. But if you actually look in there, the screws are not covered at all. I really feel like Minisforum is listening. I love it. Now you don't have to remove rubber feet. All they had to do was move the rubber feet away from the screws. There's no sense covering the screw because it's not visible when the computer's facing down, which is how it's intended. So I never understood what was the point of trying to hide those screws that nobody's going to see anyway. And then the rubber feet tear, the adhesive won't stick again, and now the thing wobbles on your desk. It was one of my biggest ongoing complaints with Minisforum, and I hope they continue to do it like this moving forward. Let's get a screwdriver out. I don't know which one's going to fit in there. This seems like it's going to be a tight fit. Oh, it just fits. Oh, that just fits. Let's go to camera 2 so you get a close-up. I mean, that is, it could not be any bigger. And it fits into the head of the screw perfectly. That is a Phillips #1. Actually, I guess it's not technically Phillips. It's a Japanese standard, which is a slightly different base on the tip of this versus a traditional standard Phillips #1. Now this one, interestingly, this one doesn't fit in there, nor does this one. Was that just a fluke? How weird. Okay, so we're going to need some jeweler set. Hold on a second, I've got a little kit down here. Oh, let's bring out the Nanch toolkit. If you don't have the money to buy the fancy iFixit toolkit, this is a much better value. Not as well known. It's like the word ranch, but instead of an R as the first letter of the word ranch, change it to the letter N like Nancy, and you get Nanch. Go on Google or Amazon, search Nanch, and this whole toolkit with magnetizer, base, Torx, flat blade, Phillips. They got everything in here, even security bits, which I've never used. This, I didn't even realize was in here. This is a SIM card removal tool. Look at this. And you could use that to stick into like your reset and push it in. I did not know. I've had this toolkit for years and I just never really paid any attention to this bottom row because I just said, oh, I don't use any of that. I'll have to remember that's in there. That's handy. Let me guess. Maybe this bit right here is the one we want. This is a PH1, a Phillips #1, the same. Believe it or not, those are the same. Okay, let's see if this works any better. Much better. Let's get this out of the way. Put that over here. Okay, there's one. There's two. Three. And this one we already started. Now none of these are coming out, which tells me this needs to be magnetized. There is a magnetizer in the toolkit, but it looks like when you take the screws out of the bottom, what it's releasing is the top. So when I flip this over, I don't want to lose the screws, so we'll flip it over first. Make sure we get all 4 screws out. There we go. So there's the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when we take the lid off, this should be real easy to know how it goes back on because the Minisforum logo would always face the front. Whoa. That is not RAM or CPU, is it? I mean, that's not, wait a minute. That's not the CPU side, is it? CPU should always, on most mini PCs, it'll be on the bottom. So what I think this is a heat sink with a cooling fan for the NVMe and the RAM. How does that come out? Let's see. Let me move that over here. Let's move this over here. And I'm not going to need this, so I'll put it away. Try and clear my clutter. And I don't need this. Let's clear my clutter. We're going to need this some more. And there's got to be some screws holding this in. Wow. So the 4 screws that hold the lid on also hold this plate on, except there's, if you see when I lift it, 1 screw appears to be holding it in somewhere over here. Where is it? Oh, maybe not. You know what it could be? It could be thermal tape. Let's see. Very gently. Does it just come up? It does, but there is a power cable on the cooling fan, and if you're too aggressive with it, you'll rip that power cable right off. You guys see the cable? That's going to the fan. And if I turn that over like this and leave it connected, you'll see we've got the film covering the second thermal pad that's included if you want to add another NVMe drive. We have 1 stick of RAM. This is not dual channel. Let me unplug the fan from the connector. Pay particular attention to where that goes, because there could be some mini PCs may have multiple little connectors that aren't being used. So pay very careful attention. Take pictures with your camera if need be, and hopefully you don't have to refer to them, but if you do, you'll have peace of mind when you can't remember that you are putting it back together correctly. Let me bring this up to camera 1, and I'll give you a close-up view of what's inside and how serviceable this is. So you notice we have a connector here, and we have a connector here. Now, which one did the fan go on? Stuff like that you won't realize until you're putting it back together. Now I know, because I just did it, it's this one, it's not this one, it's not this one. I don't know whether anymore. Those aren't even used. And these two may actually function the same. It's possible that it still could work, but I want to put it back together the same way I took it apart. If I borrow something from you, I'm going to return it to you in the same way or better that you loaned it to me. That's how I am. And I would expect the same if I loaned something to you. So while I'm taking apart somebody's computer or my own computer, and that's where the cable was, regardless of the reason why, that's where I'm putting it back unless I know it's wrong. We're using name brand Micron Crucial RAM. You'll see there, we've got 1 stick of it. And the reason they do this is so that if you want to double your RAM to 64 gigs, you only need to buy 1 stick. At RAM prices today, that's a very thoughtful thing Minisforum has done. For people who turn up their nose and go, well, it's not in dual channel. Yeah, it's also only 32 gig. So if you wanted 2 16s in here, and then you decided that you wanted to double it to 64, from 2 16s would be 32, which is what this one represents. You'd have to take the 2 16s out. They would be useless to you on this computer, and replace them with 2 32s, doubling the cost of your upgrade. So how you choose to see that as good or bad really depends on your perspective on things. I think it's a good thing. There's the NVMe drive. They're using a Kingston, of course, very common in mini PCs. That'll be a Gen 4x4 drive, and then that's our Wi-Fi card, which is easily replaceable if you wanted to, in the future, replace it for repair, or some Wi-Fi 8 or Wi-Fi 9, perhaps you wanted to upgrade. The screw that you need to put down the drive, the other M.2 that goes over here. Where's the slot? Right here's the slot. The screw is already in the standoff, waiting for you whenever you need it. So you don't have to go looking for it in the box. There's no way you're adding any 2.5-inch drive in here, thank goodness. I hate when people do that. I hate when manufacturers allow it. I think it's foolish to trap more heat. But at least there's a fan so that you probably won't need any heatsink on any other NVMe drive you use, nor would you need it on the RAM because of that added heatsink and fan that's cooling this side. A lot of cheaper mini PCs, they just have a cover here. And then when people think, oh, I'm going to put a 2.5-inch drive, all they're doing is trapping more and more heat. It's like somebody living on a diet of Doritos. You're like, you can't sustain that your whole life. You're going to have problems. No, I'm fine. Okay, whatever. Some people are just that way. So when manufacturers restrict users from causing harm to themselves, I think that's a great idea. These days, USB is so fast. If you want more storage, just plug in a USB external storage device. Keep your data off the machine, so if anybody steals the machine or it gets virus infected, hopefully you've got your external drive unplugged, and that'll keep it safer and give you more flexibility in the case of an emergency that you can just plug it into another computer and get your data back. When you put all your eggs in one basket and something happens to the basket, you might then understand the logic that I have here. But this is how the technology has changed over time. Before USB, of course, you'd add more drives. After USB and with NASs, aside from, you know, having a big drive for data storage, just put it on USB. These days, USB can run as fast as the internal drives. So why not? What's the resistance? It's too convenient and too safe? I don't know. You know, that's how I was taught to do it. Yeah. You also might have been taught, I don't know, what else has changed over the last 30 years? Defragmenting your hard drive, parking your hard drive heads. We don't do that anymore unless you're running a computer that old. In which case, we're talking about two different things. Computers of yesteryear and the maintenance and the technology at the time required finesse and maintenance that modern computers still require finesse and maintenance, but it's unrelated and very different now. Okay, so with that, looks good. I think it looks good. Very easy to get into. One of the easiest machines we've ever had to get into, that there were no additional screws to remove. So let me put it back in. Now, how did this go in? Did it go in this way? Oh, I guess I just need to look at the thermal pad to know that I had it right the first time. And we know that we opened it up like this. That gave us enough slack. Did it? How did I do that? Because it was plugged in here. Let's go back to camera 2. Let's go here. Oh, I didn't feel it click, but it's in there. It's not going anywhere. These wires, again, they're very easily broken, so don't put too much pressure on them, or you're going to find yourself fixing the damage that you caused. And if you ever need to replace this fan, the screws are underneath. I'm not sure where you would get a replacement like that. Minisforum doesn't make the fans, so in theory, you could probably find a replacement fan from the manufacturer online somewhere. But if you're under warranty for 3 years, you shouldn't have to worry about it. Probably, if it runs for 3 years, it'll probably run for the, you know, without, if it runs for 3 years without problem, it'll probably run its useful life without problem. So if and when that were to be a problem, we'd cross that bridge when we get to it. And if those fans become more widely used, they'll be easier to find in the future than today. And I'm not saying they're hard to find today. I'm saying that if they're becoming more and more common, then also finding replacements would also be even easier. So don't try and fix problems you don't yet have, because the future may hold different solutions and different price points when and if that day should ever come. In most cases, for most people, that day will never come anyway, and the whole anxiety thought process was all a complete waste of energy and time. So let's put the lid back on. That's way too easy. Way too easy. No rubber feet to worry about. Thank you very much. Drop these back in the holes. These two holes up here, that's for your Visa mount. Do not over tighten these screws. You want to get them to where they're snug. That's it. If you over tighten them, you're the one that'll be stripping the head out of the screw, or what we call camming the screw head, because you're a little overzealous. It doesn't have to be watertight or anything, guys. We just don't want them so loose they could vibrate out and fall on the floor. And we don't want them so tight that we end up camming out the screw when we're trying to take it apart next time. And with that, let me go back to camera 1. Let's put this back. Put that back. Thank you, my little Nanch toolkit. And let's plug it back in, make sure it still works. We didn't break anything. Grab that. Grab my dongle for the keyboard and mouse. Plug it into the slow USB port. Let's wipe and reinstall Windows. I think that's what I'd like to do, just to see what happens for drivers. It's a new model. Sometimes Minisforum and other manufacturers are a bit slow to update the website with support information like drivers. So because this is sold as bare bones, you absolutely are going to need the drivers day one. Let's see if Minisforum has them, and let's go through the process in real time. So here's my Windows 11 installer. I'll just plug that in here. That's plugged in, that's plugged in. I need an HDMI cable. And since we're going to reinstall Windows, we do not want it plugged into the network, because that would start installing updates. Where is HDMI 3? Right here. Okay. So by reinstalling Windows, as I mentioned, I'm getting a US regioned version of Windows versus an international that's been customized for United States English, for the reasons I've already explained. And I also know that if there were any malware viruses, they won't be anymore. Without having to scan, I could just wipe and reinstall. Or you, like I said, you buy bare bones and then it's on you. So let's turn this on, and then let's get back over to HDMI 3. And let's see if I can get into the BIOS, because we haven't looked at that yet either. Let's see what the BIOS, oh, I missed it. Darn it. We'll let it boot to the desktop, and then I do want to see the BIOS before we start our Windows 11 install. I'm just curious. Start. Let's do it this way. Let's shut it down again. Assuming it's the delete key. So I'm going to hit the power button. Wait a minute, it's not off yet. Now it just went off. I'll hit the power button, and before I see the Minisforum logo, I'm going to start pressing delete. Press, press, press. You don't have to go any faster than that. See if it lets us in. It didn't let us in? That's frustrating. It may be a different key. So whenever this happens, instead of fighting with it, I'll just go to Start. I'll go to Settings. Windows Update. Advanced Options. Recovery. Advanced Startup. Restart now. Then when it reboots, it'll give us an advanced startup menu, almost like a safe mode menu. And we can instruct it to boot into the BIOS. We could tell it to boot to the flash drive. We could take full control without having to press the key at the right time. The right key at the right time, because I think it must be a different key. Because if that didn't get me in, it must be F2 or F10 or something else other. I mean, we've seen somewhere it was the escape key, which is really, really not standard at all. But you'll notice the way it starts up now is a little bit different. That tells you you're going to get the advanced startup menu, because it says please wait. It never said that before. So it's going to come up here in a second with our advanced startup menu. This has been since Windows 10, by the way. So we'll go to Troubleshoot and Advanced, because getting into the BIOS is an advanced thing. And the BIOS is the UEFI firmware. They're the same. So click on that and confirm. Now when it restarts, instead of pressing any key, it'll just go right into the BIOS right out of the gate. Here we go. So it's not the graphical BIOS, it's still the text-based BIOS. Minisforum does both, and I don't know how they pick and choose. And under advanced, sometimes you'll see the ability to have the machine run in like a performance mode versus a balanced versus a quiet mode. I don't know if that's in here anywhere. It's usually under advanced, under power settings. So it may not be something we can change. Some minis have that, some don't. And I don't care, but I know some viewers do. So I'm just looking for them. Wow, that's a lot of information. Typically, the main screen doesn't contain that much info. Device control, wake up, network. Yeah, nothing here for changing power profiles. Oh, a secure flash update. That's new. Very cool. They've needed that for a long time. I'm glad to see it. Hopefully that becomes a new standard. And if we want to just boot override to the Windows 11 installer, we just select that, and that way it's not permanently changing the boot order. It's just that one time. It's going to prioritize booting from the flash drive just on this boot only, and then go back to defaulting to the C drive, the NVMe, the internal NVMe is what I'm trying to say. Now, with my installer, I don't even have to worry about getting that other update, which we could potentially still be waiting on, because it's already baked into this installer from using Microsoft's media creation tool. They've been updating it every month now. About 2 to 3 days after Patch Tuesday, the media creation tool is updated, and Microsoft stays quiet about it. So if you don't know, you don't know. Now let's go through the settings where we're going to do a clean install. And we're going to do this completely unprepared, meaning I could have backed up the drivers before I began and just reused the drivers, but I don't want to do that. I want to pretend that we don't have the drivers. Maybe we bought a bare bones unit. What would we do? Does Minisforum provide everything we need? We're going to find out live, unscripted, and unrehearsed right now. First thing I want to do is erase all the partitions on our internal drive. So we're going to delete every one of those until we just have disk 0 is represented only once. All is unallocated space. What that means is this drive is like new. Hold on a second, Mara. This drive is like new. This is how it ships from the manufacturer. What are you doing?
I'm just blocking the air. It's like craziness in here.
She's like making hand signals at me. Okay, so with that selected, we'll hit next. This is a summary of what we're going to do. I hit install, and anything that was on that drive is now wiped out. This is what we call in the industry a nuke in a pave. We've nuked all the data on the drive, all the partitions, and now we're resetting up the partitions, the format, and reinstalling the Windows operating system with our latest version of the installer, which contains all of the May updates from Tuesday, already slipstreamed in. And while we wait, yes, Mara?
All right, with that ceiling fan on,
And without the ceiling fan on, I would melt.
I feel like I'm in a wind tunnel.
It's not. It's only on the middle setting. You should see it on high.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. But the first thing you're going to do is check your email.
Check my email. And is that the only thing I need to do?
That's it. At least,
well, you said first.
Finish what you're doing.
But you said first.
First?
Not only.
First, check your email, and then next, finish what you're doing.
See? It's good to have somebody that tells me what I'm doing, because I'm not so sure. Mortant sends an Amazon gift card, and a generous one. He says, here's $100 for the channel. I'll be visiting my father tomorrow during the live stream. Well, I hope you have a great visit with your father. Mortant, thank you so much for your continued support, your generosity, and I can't thank you enough for that. It's very kind. I always consider that like a tip, you know, it's never expected, always appreciated, and we'll use it. You know, we're going to spend that money on Amazon, just as we have to continue to bring forward technology that we're interested in, mini PCs that we think have a potential to be some hidden bargains. We've already done that with a couple of models that the A-Dreamer just came in. I think we're getting one today at some point, another AO Star. Seeing a lot of value from them. And luckily, we've had most of the Minisforums are being sent to us at no charge, but we've also purchased a few of the Minisforums as well. We don't get everything we want from Minisforum. Those we go out and we buy, and we'll use the Amazon gift card money for that purpose. Thankfully, we're not having to buy any RAM or SSDs yet. We still have some left over. So if we end up getting a bare bones unit, it'll cost us less and utilize what hardware we've got laying around to put it together. Now, as you can see, the Windows installer is just getting ready to restart. What it did on this first go is it created all the partitions, formatted those partitions, and copied all the files needed to install Windows off of the flash drive and onto the internal drive. At this point, the flash drive is no longer being used. Now when it reboots, it's going to reboot to the C drive, where all of the installation files are waiting to get started. All of that was the prep to install Windows. And now it's going to install Windows from the fast internal drive to itself, which is a very smart way to do it. It's very quick. So now it's actually doing the installation process. If you're curious, the first part is setting up for the install. The second reboot, that's where actually this is technically our first reboot. Installs it, and then a third reboot might be there to then boot to Windows, the newly installed Windows, and go through the out-of-box experience. That's the entire process. When that's done, we'll take a look at the device manager and see how many devices are missing on a brand new hardware that just came out. I expect to see a lot of missing drivers. Will we get working network card drivers? I doubt it. But that's okay. I'll show you how we work around that. I guess I can put camera 1 back up and put myself back in a corner. Here we go. Anthony McGregor says, when I was in high school, my IT teacher drilled it into our heads to use external storage to keep our files safe. But if anything happens to the external storage, I hope you have another copy of that data somewhere else. Always have your data in 2 places. Not a separate partition on the same drive. Because if the drive fails or gets virus infected, you're screwed. And if you say, well, I moved it all to the external drive so it's safe, it's not any safer on the external drive. That drive is susceptible to failure and viruses the same as your internal one. But if the data exists both on the internal and the external, should either one fail, you've got the other one. Hence, we use the word backup. Ideally, you'll have 2 backups. You should never be in a situation where your main copy of your file on your main drive has a problem, but then you go to recover it off your external storage and it has a problem. The odds of that happening are very low, but it does happen, and storage is cheap. Somebody in Reddit was asking, does anybody know of any free file recovery software that I don't have to pay any money? Yeah, I do. It's called use the copy command, and copy that stuff that's so important you want to recover it, copy it onto another device, a flash drive, copy it to yourself in email if it's small files. Let it sit as an attachment in your email history. Use Google Drive, use OneDrive. The idea that somebody thinks a company's going to pay for development of file recovery software, and you think you're going to install recovery software on the drive that you're trying to recover data from, you don't understand how data works, because you're probably overwriting the data with the file recovery software. It's too late. And then you want it all for free. It's good to want. All right, so notice now, the first thing that pops up, is this the right country or region? United States. It doesn't say English like it did. If you rewind this video, look at the screen. It's different. That's because the regional installer is different. If you're in China making computers and you ship them all over the world, you don't want to have different installers for different regions. I understand why they do this. I want my region. These will never leave the United States. Once it's here, it's going to die here. So for that reason, I want to use the version that I know to support, where I won't get thrown curveball questions. because I was too lazy to do this. And it's a good excuse to emulate what you would do if you had a bare bones unit and you put your own RAM and storage in it, then you'd do exactly everything we're doing now. Let me get rid of camera 1 so we can see the whole screen. Once again, we'll go through the out-of-box experience. So United States no longer says English next to it. That's your first telltale. US keyboard, yep. And skip the secondary keyboard language. Oh, it looks like it found our Ethernet driver automatically. That's a good sign. I'm going to tell it I don't have internet, because that's the same way we always do things. User will be the name with a blank password. Everything is the same. And we'll accept that. And while that's getting ready, I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable, because once the desktop comes up, we'll plug it back in. And we're going to start looking for drivers. And we're going to make sure when we plug in the Ethernet cable that we, that it works, basically, that we get assigned an IP address and we don't need the headache of getting the network card driver. Because you need to get on the network to get all the rest of the drivers, right? You see that catch-22? You could always use another computer and download the drivers and put it on a flash drive and do it that way if your Ethernet driver doesn't load. Or you can use a USB to Ethernet adapter. They're like 20 bucks on Amazon. And the drivers are always all built into Windows 11, so the minute you plug it in, it's acknowledged. Then use that one to download the drivers for the built-in network card, install them, and then you don't need the little USB adapter anymore. So a lot of different creative ways that you could get around. Those are some examples. And I'm sure depending on how creative of a thinker you are, you could probably come up with a couple other solutions as well, including a customized installer where you embed your own drivers if you're that technical. I couldn't be bothered. If I was selling the same computer 100 times a month, then I'd be bothered. But they're all different. They all use different drivers, so it would be a waste of my time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and plug the Ethernet cable in right now, and let's watch that lower right corner and see if that globe acknowledges it. And it does. So we did get Ethernet drivers, which is surprising on a brand new motherboard that just came out. That's a relief. And then you'll see all of those ghosted boxes verified our region based on the IP address we have and on the country's laws of what's allowed. So in Europe, some of this wouldn't be allowed. The GDPR would prevent it from happening. And that's how they can tell. Now, you could fool it with a VPN, but then that's on you. That's not on Microsoft. And if you want your government to come after you for protecting you against yourself, it seems unlikely, but that's literally the idea. Let's go to the device manager, right click in the start menu, choose device manager. How are we sitting here? Wow, I knew we were going to have a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is about as many as I've ever seen. But it's also the latest, hot off of the presses hardware, where those drivers are not yet made available to Microsoft, and Microsoft takes a long time to validate them and test them before they release them. So that's why it's up to the manufacturer to provide those drivers initially. So we'll open up the browser since our internet connection's working without any need for additional driver. And we could go to Windows Update and see, by going to Windows Update, what drivers are provided for us directly from Microsoft. So we hit check for updates and turn the same little options on and preferences that I prefer. Do that now. And until it checks for updates, there it is. I was going to say that said 0 a second ago. Now it says 3. Realtek network driver, Intel driver, and an Intel driver. Okay, download and install those. Because this installer already has all of the latest updates installed, we should not see anything other than drivers and antivirus and malware updates. Yep, there's the malicious software tool that gets updated daily. Antivirus gets updated multiple times a day. The rest are drivers. And I'm only curious, I don't need to do this because I can get all the drivers I need from Minisforum, or I should be able to. So let's let this run and we'll jump over to Minisforum. which is where I was headed. Minisforum support will be my search. Without any preparation, without memorizing anything, we'll go to drivers and downloads, and we're going to search right here for M2. Uh-oh. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. There's your user manual. This is far more in-depth than what's included with the Mini in the box. So if you want it should be anyway, if we click on the user manual. Oh, yeah, you know what? It may not be much more useful. Lots of different languages, port specification, some examples of where things go, how they plug in, how it comes apart. See, we could have read those directions. Oh, that's a PCIe 5 slot? Oh. So we could get 12,500 megabytes per second by just fulfilling that slot. What's the word I want? Propagating that slot with a Gen 5. Hey, if you got that kind of money, I'd be curious about heat issues on them, because those Gen 5 drives do run very, very hot. But there's already a thermal pad and there's already a thermal plate with a fan on it. So in theory, they've already tested this. I thought they were both Gen 4x4. But that says it's Gen 5. And that's the one they're using. The Gen 4 one is the one over the Wi-Fi card. And they defaulted to this slot for some reason. I wonder why. Anyway, that's your documentation, a little bit about the VESA mount, how you could mount this behind your monitors. No one would even see the computer. Looks like a video driver is going in as the screen blanks out on us. I expect it to come back once the video driver is installed. Oh boy, now it's so small I can't read it. Minimize this. And it looks like it's done. Let's hit retry and it'll probably come up and say we're current. Well, it's doing that. Let's check our activation status. Right click on the start menu. Don't even do that, just right here in the search, I'll just type in activate or just start to spell. And you'll see it comes up with the suggestion activation settings. Click on that. It's already reassigned the product key and activated based on this motherboard without us ever having to put in a product key. And you notice when we did our reinstall, it didn't ask us what version of Windows we wanted, because the installer found the product key in the BIOS, and that product key was for Windows 11 Pro. So it didn't ask us what version of Windows we want. It just automatically installed Pro without asking. Did you notice? Be honest, did you even notice that? And then once we hit Windows Update, that's where the activation took place. Quietly, silently, not a lot of shouting from the rooftops. There's not a parade. There's not even a notification that tells you what happened. Out of sight, out of mind, it takes care of it. I'm going to check for updates one more time, and this time, while we're waiting, I'll right-click and go to the device manager. We had 14 devices before. Right-click, device manager. 14 devices were missing. Now how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it must have been updating some drivers, because it only fulfilled one missing driver. But we're going to go to Minisforum and download anyway. So let me change my resolution back to 1080. Keep those changes. Back to the browser. Back to Minisforum. Where was I? Is it over here? Nope. So I got to search again. So back up here, M2, search. Scroll down to the second one. Drivers and downloads. Now it says the BIOS version is currently 1.14. So if we want to, first of all, let's download this driver package right here. Just grab the, if you just want the Ethernet drivers or you just want the audio drivers, you don't have to download this big package. And notice it's not taking us to like Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. Did you notice that? It just started downloading like a proper corporation that hosts its own files. I appreciate that. Certainly a lot more professional than utilizing some free drive source, which they still could be doing and hiding it. But I think they're self-hosting, which is wonderful. Let's open this file and extract its contents by hitting Extract All. And you'll see all these drivers are numbered. That's the order in which they want you to install them. I just wish they had an Install All feature or button. Okay. Oh, holy cow, they do have an Install All. They are listening. Now, the thing is, and this isn't well explained, but I can tell you these numbers are familiar to me. RZ is a MediaTek Wi-Fi 717 model. This is a 616 model. This is an Intel BE200 Wi-Fi card. This is an Intel AX211 Wi-Fi card. So no matter which one of these you choose, it's going to install all the drivers, and at the very end of it, number 9, you see how many number 9s there are? You're only supposed to use one of these number 9s for whichever Wi-Fi card you've got. Now, how do you know what Wi-Fi card you've got? Well, you open it and take a look. Did any of you happen to notice which Wi-Fi card we have? I didn't check. So here's one thing you can do. You can ham fist this and just pick the first one. And if that's not the right driver, then we'll manually add the right driver after the fact. But if we get it right the first time, it'll take care of everything 100%. But I'm not sure which driver we're supposed to be using on this. Or because I didn't even pay attention to what network card manufacturer we've got in here. I didn't think of it, and now I'm thinking of it, and it's a little late. So I'm just going to pick the first one. I'm going to double click it. Let's see how their auto installer works, because yeah, it's got to do more than that. That did not work at all. Let's try right click and run it as administrator, maybe. Is that what we're going to do? Oh, that's much better. Okay, so you have to, see, that's not clear. Be nice if it was in the file name, run as administrator, instead of forcing us to read some notes somewhere. And now it's going to go through and do everything for us. Wonderful. Love it. Thank you, Minisforum. This just takes any potential for making mistakes, for the end user to make a mistake, removes that. That also makes life easier and more efficient, so you don't have to do everything manually by hand. It'll just take care of it for you. And if our Wi-Fi driver, you know, we still look in the device manager and there's like 2 missing items, that'll be the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, because I got a 1 in 4 chance that I picked the right one. But then the Wi-Fi drivers are separated, so then it's super easy to put the right driver in. Much faster. See, it's saying installing the Intel AX211. Maybe that's what we've got. I could rewind the video and read the card, but I can't be bothered. This is just so easy. Just let it run. It's not going to hurt anything. That's the way I see it. I don't want to work any harder than I have to. Keep me fresh. All right, with that being done, I'm surprised it doesn't want to reboot. Let's right-click and look in the device manager now. So it looks like we've got it. The Wi-Fi apparently is the right one. It says Intel High Definition Audio. That could be the video driver that HDMI carries its own audio signal. So what I'm going to do is reboot this first and foremost, even though it doesn't ask us to. I feel like it should. I mean, putting that many drivers in and thinking they're just going to run without a reboot is possible, but before you assume anything's wrong, like if I looked in the device manager and I didn't see any problems, I'd still want to reboot. And if I do see problems, I definitely want to reboot to see if the reboot is what solves that. So don't try and put fixes in until you verified there is a problem. There may be no problem other than the end user deciding there's a problem. Sometimes where we have to fix is the end user, not the computer. This is very common in this industry. Anybody that does this for a living will tell you, half the time we're fixing the computer, half the time we're fixing, by saying fixing, we're educating the end user. They think there's a problem and there isn't one, and you have to convince them. Let's find out. Do we still have a problem in the device manager? Right click, device manager. It's still there. One easy thing you can do that's probably a waste of time is to simply delete that device and then hit the refresh button up here and let it rescan, and it should find it again. And if it has the driver, it'll load it automatically. It's clearly missing. And given that it says it's Intel high definition audio, I think this is related to the graphics card. And I'll point this out to the folks at Minisforum that they may have an error with the driver they're using, assuming I'm right. Now, how am I going to find out if I'm right? I'm going to download the free Intel Driver Assistant. And it's going to look for newer drivers than what we just got from Minisforum. You have to give Intel, you have to allow them to transmit data about your computer in order to know which drivers are missing or out of date. If you hit block, then you have to go into the settings of your browser and find where you're blocking certain sites to unblock it. It's a pain in the butt. Let's download this, a quick download. As you see here, it's already downloaded. Open it. And it needs this additional prerequisite file here from Microsoft that the software is dependent on. It's built on it. And let's close this out. And when this is done, it'll reopen the browser and scan our hardware. It'll also tell us our BIOS version, so we can determine if we need to download the BIOS too. So multiple reasons for doing this. Just go with the flow. We don't have to download every third-party utility in the world for what's already available right through the browser. Work smarter, not harder. Launch. That should reopen the browser, scan our hardware, and look for anything missing or updated that's Intel related. Not everything Intel related, but like Intel networking, Intel video, Intel, I don't know, Bluetooth. There's an Intel NPU driver that's updated, as I expected, the graphics driver, and there's a newer version of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which are critical because Intel just fixed a big problem they had with their Wi-Fi and Bluetooth drivers. So we're going to grab all of those. So even though the device manager says all of these are good, they're not current and up to date. This says our BIOS version right here is 114. See that V following the letter V? 114 dated, oh, not even a month ago. So I think if we look back at the Minisforum support site, the downloadable version I think was 114. We've already got it. We can also learn more about our storage and our RAM all through the browser with the Intel utility, and this does work on AMD systems. Even though it may not offer you any drivers, it can still give you all this information without a third-party utility. See SanDisk Extreme? That's because I forgot to unplug my Windows 11 installer. Whoopsie, it's not hurting anything. Let me unplug it now, and then let's hit install all, and it'll begin those software updates for us, or driver updates. It says software here, but it's really drivers. Give that a second as it processes the downloads, and we should get a little box down on the system tray that I'm looking for. Wait a minute. Please restart your PC now? Oh, that's unusual. Okay. I don't know why it would want to do that, but I'll do it. That's a new one. I usually don't have to do that until the driver's been installed. Well, that reboots. Is Regan watching? I have no idea. I've never talked to Regan. Perhaps someday we'll make that happen. I hope he's watching. I watch him. Madturian said, I try to keep 2 different region ISO installers due to the fact I have relatives that only understand Spanish. Hey, in that position, I would do the same thing. Lugrinia said, I finally hit the first hiccup with that Firebat laptop. The dang wife won't get off the thing and cook my dinner. That's hilarious. May have to put back the HP. Think of the weight loss, though. Could be good for you. Well, I don't know what the heck it's doing, but there's some update that's pretty big taking place right now. It's pretty weird. I don't know what caused that, but clearly it wasn't lying when it said it wanted to restart. It definitely did. Boss says a fun fact is that it costs most PC manufacturers anywhere from $100 to $1,000 for simple drivers for basic hardware. It's the cost of doing business. I mean, someone has to pay for those drivers. The people who write them aren't working for free, and the people who test them aren't working for free, and the people who update them aren't working for free. So where's that money coming from? One way or another, you're paying for it either when you buy the hardware, it's built into the cost, or you're paying for it as a separate service. Nothing in the world that has value is free. Free implies there's no value. That's not to say someone couldn't gift you something for free, or you couldn't find some diamond ring on the ground. Not sure that's yours to keep, but you know, to each their own on that one. Mortant says, Carey, you are welcome. I was away from the chat for a few minutes. Right on, Mortant. Well, I'm glad you heard your shout out. I genuinely appreciate that. I know you were interested in something else we had that you wanted us to send you, and I didn't want to send a bunch, you know, a couple of things at once because I don't want to favor, you know, show any favoritism to anybody. But it's been a while, and if you can remind me what it is that you were asking me about, send me an email and let us know, because you know, it's been a while and you're due. And again, thank you so much. I really genuinely appreciate that generosity. So I'd like to be generous in return. Okay, so we're back up and running, and let me get rid of camera 1 so we can see the whole screen here. So down here, hidden again, I'll have to unhide. We will see the Intel driver assistant. It hasn't loaded yet. There it is. And it's got a little red dot on it. Bring that up. I don't want to restore. Just close that. And install all. Now I'm going to watch down here. Wait a minute. Why is it saying to please restart my PC now? What is going on? I wonder, if I go to shutdown, does it say update and restart? It does not. What is this all about? This is new. Understand. So, when in doubt, follow the instructions. See what it does this time. Some updates require multiple reboots. In fact, if you just got your Windows update from Tuesday, look at that. It's still updating something, and you could see how fast that was. So that means whatever it was updating wasn't quite done yet, and nothing popped up on the screen to tell us. So it would have happened in time naturally through restarting the computer. But I'm surprised we didn't get like an alert on the screen that said, hey, you've got some updates that need to finish. But only the Intel driver assistant gave us any indication of that. Unless it's caused by the Intel driver assistant, but that's never happened before. Anyway, I can't explain it, but it's doing something. Wasn't lying. Let's go back one more time. Again, try this process again. I don't see a yellow box telling me I need to restart anymore. That's what I'm expecting. I hit install all. Wait a minute. What is going on? What is this? Please restart your PC now to continue installing updates. What? It won't be any of these. None of these have installed yet. Let's refresh the results. Hold on a second. I love doing this live. I've never seen this before, and I'm so glad I get to share it with you instead of having to explain it. When I hit install all, it says, please restart your PC. Is there a bug in the Intel software? What's going on? Let's see what happens. Does it say it's installing updates still? I am baffled by this. Are we stuck in a loop, or is it actually doing something? How many times do we reboot before we realize there's something going on? It says updates are underway. You see how fast it was? Now, even the most intense updates generally don't need more than 3 reboots. So if I do this a 4th time and it keeps going, I think something's wrong with the Intel driver assistant. On the other hand, if it starts working like it's supposed to, then those updates were real and something's changed that I'm not familiar with. But that might be the new standard, and I'm going to get familiar with it. There's always got to be a first time, unless there's a problem. Okay, here we go again. You son of a... I wonder what is causing that. Watch this. Let's just download, because there's something wrong with the graphics driver. So let's grab it manually. Where it says learn more about this update, you can download the update by hand. So the installer won't let us do it automatically. It wants us to reboot first. Same with the NPU driver and the Wi-Fi driver. We can do all of these by hand. But I'm thinking, because we see that problem in the device manager, and let's make sure none of those reboots fix that. I wonder if it's related to this problem, which would point it back to a bad driver for Minisforum. And that it thinks that in order for this to be working, there's a reboot required. And then it reboots and it's still happening. And I think that's why we're stuck in a cycle. So based on that theory, from my experience as a technician, I am skipping these two and going right to the graphics driver, which should have downloaded by now. And we'll click on it and install it, as though we didn't have the driver assistant. We're pretending we didn't know any better. So open file, and let's close this out. So now we have no clutter on the screen. And I can also personalize that background to be my preference, which is the Windows 11 theme. There we go. Oh, this process cannot access the file because it's being used by another process. What? Do it anyway. Let's brute force. This is bizarre. But I think it's Intel graphics driver related. So I'm a tech. Show me your most challenging problem. I will fix it. See this audio driver here? This is built into the GPU. Even if the GPU is built into the CPU and the CPU is soldered onto the motherboard, everything's connected together, but that's not your sound card. Your primary sound card that you're going to plug your headphone jack into is probably made by somebody else. Let's look. Right-click, Device Manager. And let's look under Sound. So the sound driver for the display. And then there's the sound driver for, oh, USB audio. Interesting. Well, who knows? Maybe that is the one sound card this machine has then. Maybe they're just solely relying on the display audio. I can't tell if the smart sound technology is a separate chip. It doesn't make sense to have 2 sound chips. I mean, pick one or the other, you know what I mean? So I'm okay. If that's what they've done now, is they've combined them into one sound, one sound chip, using the one that goes to the GPU. That's probably the one you'll be using anyway. Now, as it installs this new audio driver, I'm wondering if it'll take care of this right here. So far, it has not, but it's probably going to want to reboot when it's done anyway. Sometimes it can't replace a driver that that the system is loaded into memory. So in order to clear the memory, you restart the system. That flushes the old driver out, and when it reboots, loads the new driver instead. That's why reboots are required typically after driver installs. Now, I did not do that to the screen. My hands are off the keyboard and mouse, so I don't know what that refresh was about that just occurred. This suddenly grabbed focus when this was in focus before. Finalizing the install, reboot recommended. Okay. Good. Close. Let's see what happens. What I love about Minisforum and companies that react similarly is that when we let them know there's a problem, they'll confirm it. And if they say, no, we can't confirm it, it's your problem, fair enough. If they say, oh yeah, we've replicated it, thank you for bringing it to our attention. It took them about 3 days to redo the driver pack and update the website. And that benefits not only us, but every one of their customers and their tech support team from future support requests on this problem. If it is, as I suspect, an improper driver in their driver pack. People make mistakes. And the good thing is once they get it corrected, it'll stay corrected. It's not like we'll have to revisit it again. And what do you expect? It's a brand new model. So we're the first people to review it here on YouTube. So it makes sense we're going to see the problem first. And that's great because the sooner we get that problem resolved, the more benefit it is to the manufacturer and to the customer. So that's the benefit of giving the early look to people who can assist with locating and identifying potential issues early on so it doesn't affect a flood of calls or your reputation, or you might get bad reviews over something so silly. So it's finishing the driver update. It should be doing the video card driver update. And then whatever the other update was that it wants to keep rebooting on, I think it's doing that too, because this is taking a little bit longer than a typical video driver update would from Intel. But regardless of what it's doing or why, we allow it to proceed. Now, if this doesn't fix it, the further diagnostic would be to start over again. And instead of using Minisforum's auto installer, install the drivers one by one until we replicate the problem. It's a time-consuming process. However, it will positively identify which of them, or if any of them, are causing the issue. So before I go forward to Minisforum, I want to give them the solution, not just the problem. And I'm willing to do that for them because they support us here. And if I can help them back what I believe is helping them, I want to make sure I do as much as I can so they don't have to figure it out. If I can figure it out for them, I'll give them the answer, tell them exactly what needs to be done. All they have to do is confirm it. That should expedite the process. Let's look in the device manager and see if anything's changed. No, it has not. Here's something else we can do. You can hit update driver and browse that downloads folder where we put all of our drivers. I guess it's not in there, but it couldn't hurt to just look again. Let's let it look and see what it finds. It found something that did not auto-install. Carey audio. Now, why did that not go in automatically? So Minisforum has included the driver, but it's not getting installed. So now we know something we didn't know before. Let's go back to the Intel. Sorry, what am I doing? Let's go out here, go down here, go back to the driver assistant, check for new drivers, or just double click on it. Notice the video card driver went away because we just did it by hand. Install all, still wants to restart the PC. Crazy. That's crazy. So what I'm going to do is do the NPU driver manually by clicking Learn More, download the executable, pretty quick, open that up, and that starts the installer. That's all the tool's doing for us automatically anyway. The main part is it's identifying the drivers that are missing. But the way it's installing through the graphical user interface is different from the way we saw it install, where it was just all text. And maybe something got missed. I don't know. But we need it anyway. And if it just so happens to solve the problem, so be it. But that leaves us really up for question as to what's causing the machine to think that something continually needs to reboot that's not done installing. And it doesn't want to begin another install until the previous install is finished. But as far as I can tell, all of the installers finished. So let's execute a clean installation on this just to clear things out. We could have done that for the video driver too. I probably should have. I do believe this is a driver issue. Reboot is required here. So we'll reboot again. And this would be the process if you were to want to wipe and reinstall Windows, or you bought a bare bones unit. But if you bought a bare bones unit and you're going through all this, you might think you did something wrong when we did nothing wrong. I still recommend you ask yourself, what did I do wrong first? Once you've eliminated yourself as the problem, then we can move forward with regards to where to point some blame, to where to identify the source of the problem. Or you just reach out to the manufacturer's support and ask them. But because it's so new, this just came out, they may not be aware of it yet. So don't take the approach that, well, it's day one or this thing only came out a month ago. There's still a very good chance that the information has not trickled back to them. So offer a little tolerance and understanding if you want to be first to have a brand new product. That's typical for any manufacturer. What's not typical is how the manufacturer responds. The manufacturer response should always be appreciative and providing a solution in a short matter of time once they're aware of it and they've confirmed it. That can take, I'd say a week, 2 weeks tops, depending on how many employees they have and how busy they are. It's not like they're going to drop everything and take care of your problem, right? But on the other hand, the longer they postpone it, the more support calls with the same problem are going to come in. So they're motivated to prioritize it. If they're a good company, they care. And Minisforum has already done that for us, where the M1 Lite drivers were wrong. They acknowledged we were correct, they verified it, and they are now working. So that's forever fixed. Now we're back to another new machine. You hope they got everything nipped in the bud, but if they didn't, people make mistakes. Computers are complicated devices. So what did you think? It's just, it's easy to be the Monday morning quarterback. It's another thing to be in it and doing the work. These guys are already busy. They have a full-time job. So when you have to get their attention for something they've already completed, somebody needs to take time to just see if you're telling them something that's verifiable or if you're blaming them for something you did. That's very, very common, to blame them for what the user did. So typically when I worked in the industry and a customer would complain about that, you think, well, sure, whatever. But they know me, so when I tell my contact there, they know who it's coming from. And that helps me get heard. Otherwise, they just wait for more of the same complaint before they realize, uh-oh, I guess that first person was right. That's a typical corporate response. But the important thing is that they are responding and they are doing the right thing. Back over to the Intel updater. I bet it wants to reboot again. And it's funny, it only tells us when I hit the install button. Every single time. It's also possible something's wrong with this version of the driver and support assistant, but I've never seen that happen. So again, the buttons are shaded out and they're going to continue that way. So if I want to force, I just learn more about the update, download the driver, agree to the terms. Driver's real quick, open it up, install it. Here's what I'm curious about though. We don't get any indication that we need to reboot except in the Intel Driver Assistant. So once I put all these drivers in, so there's the Wi-Fi, and then we'll do the Bluetooth one, and that'll be it. That'll be it. Then it should say, hey, you're all fully up to date. Then let me restart the computer, get back to the desktop, check our device manager, and without going to the Intel Driver Updater, restart the computer just normally, just to see if it says it's installing updates every single time we just randomly restart the computer. So I need this one downloaded too. That's our Bluetooth. Why these aren't built into the same driver setup? It's all on the same Wi-Fi card. I don't understand why they separate them. It'd be in one package. Intel disagrees with me. I don't know why, because I don't work there and I don't understand why they would. There must be a reason for this that I just don't know. Okay, now with all that done, let's restart. Probably going to say it's installing updates, right? Not so far. Yeah, there they are. What is that? It's stuck. It keeps thinking an update needs to finish and it never finishes. Or it's not flipping a flag that says I'm done. When it's flipping the flag that's telling it I'm not done yet, it's not saving the status of that flag. It's like stuck in an incomplete install. It wants to complete. Then it completes, it says I'm done, tells the flag it's done, and then the system restarts, and then the flag change doesn't stick, and it stays back in the flag status of requiring attention. And that's usually an indication of a bad update, which also includes bad drivers. And the question is, which driver is causing that? So I might have my work cut out for me tonight. And that's why it's important when you watch these mini PC reviews and they're like, oh, this is so much better, it's only 10 minutes. You're not going to get this information, but you will suffer with the consequences and then be pissed off probably. But that's because you watched a 10-minute commercial instead of an actual review. That's why we do this. Why isn't this the standard? There are no standards. This is a Carey standard, not a worldwide standard. People on YouTube aren't necessarily making videos for any other reason than fame and money. That's your primary influencer's motive. But you do have other influencers whose motive is to share knowledge and information, news, and share knowledge and education. My motivation is to show you the work a real technician does so you can understand. If you think I'm a real tech just like you, let me show you some examples of what I do. You'll probably find what I do is at a bigger scale. I'm not better than you. I'm in it every day. I've been in it every day since 1991 in the professional sense, and prior to that as a hobbyist. And I can tell you, having lived both lives as a hobbyist and as a professional, it's a whole different world on the professional side. And the professionals, the real professionals, they're not using shortcuts and duct tape to fix problems. They don't sweep problems under the rug or cover up error lights with tape. We solve the problems. That's what we're paid to do. And that's what really should be applied to all enthusiasts. If you want to be a good enthusiast, then you want to work closer to like a professional to be a really good enthusiast, in my opinion. Okay, so with that done, here's what I'm curious about. If I just, first of all, look in the device manager, it should everything should be happy, right? It is. Okay. What happens if I just choose to restart the computer right now? Because typically, if updates are waiting, it'll say restart and update or restart and not update. That's not happening here. So is that something being driven by the driver assistant? Let's hit restart and see what happens. Does it still say right now that it wants to install an update? What we don't want to do is waste time fixing the problem. And I want to be very clear on this. When you buy a brand new computer and something isn't working, you are working for free to fix it. You shouldn't have to fix anything brand new. So the fact that that just came up with the updates are underway tells me it's not related to the Intel driver assistant. It's probably not related to the Windows update. And all that leaves, because we didn't do anything else to the computer, like putting on printers and setting up Microsoft Office. We haven't done that yet because this is what I keep warning you about, why you don't want to jump ahead until you've assessed that the machine is functionally solid before you waste any time trying to customize and personalize it. Otherwise, you just wasted your time. You're going to have to wipe and reinstall all over again and repeat the exact same work. Only this time, I bet you'll listen to me, if you didn't before, and make sure everything is in the right order before building on top. This is exactly the example I give. And it only takes one time for you to just realize all the other times when you thought I was wrong, all of a sudden it all makes sense now, because you never know when this is going to happen on a brand new machine. And you don't want to build on top of this. You want to make sure this, whatever this is, gets resolved before you go any further. And that usually is relying on the manufacturer to provide the solution, not for you. Nothing you buy new should require your repair. If it does, return it and get your money back and buy something else. I'm looking to repair it because I'm a professional technician and I want to help our friends at Minisforum. So I want to know what it is because, one, I just want to. I'm curious. Two, I want to provide that information to Minisforum as accurately as possible. Rather than jumping to conclusions, I'm going to start basically what I'm going to have to do. Let me bring back camera one. Is reinstall Windows from scratch all over, negating everything we've already done. Install the drivers one by one, rebooting between each one until I get this problem, and I'll know the last driver I installed caused it. Then I'm going to wipe and reinstall again, and I'm going to install all the drivers one by one again, skipping the one that I believe is causing the problem. And if the problem doesn't come back, then I tell Minisforum, hey, this particular driver is causing this particular problem. There's no guessing. Now Minisforum can go and test it and see for themselves, verify it, fix it, address the download, and the problem is solved for everybody. Now I don't have to do that. I could say you've got a problem and they can go verify it. It's their problem. I'm going above and beyond because Minisforum goes above and beyond for me. You as a consumer, you don't need to do that for any company, and they may not listen to you anyway. You should be reaching out to support and asking for guidance. And depending on your response, you might want to return the unit or follow the steps to resolve the problem. But we're stuck right now. We can't go any further. It would be, can you imagine if I sold this to somebody like this? It's not causing any problem, but the customer's going to call. Why does this keep installing updates? Like every time I go to restart, it never stops. I think something's wrong. Well, they're right, something's wrong, but it's probably not hurting anything. On the other hand, it is preventing the Windows driver assistant, the Intel driver assistant, from running. And it may prevent other installers from starting if they say, well, you got to finish your previous install. What previous install? Then it really is a problem because now you can't put your application on. It won't install because you have an unfinished install. And until that one's finished, the next one may not allow you to start it. In which case, that's a real problem. So that's why this is a big deal. Okay. You know what? I got some work cut out for me tonight. Mostly just patience of reinstalling. And then I will let you know on a follow-up on a part 2. And what we'll do on the part 2 is we will also follow up with Crystal Disk Mark drive benchmarks. It's a Kingston drive. We know what to expect. And then we'll run Cinebench and we'll take a look at what our scores and temperatures are. And that'll probably be a week from now. But if you're wondering in 5 hours, where you're getting ready for bed or already asleep, what Carey is doing in Phoenix, in 5 hours, I'm probably working on this. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to take a little break, maybe go have some dinner, relax a little bit. let the room cool. I'm sweating in here. It gets really hot in here. And then when I feel refreshed, I'll come in here and this will wait. But one way or another, I hope to have it resolved before I go to bed, because we have a live show to do tomorrow. For our members only, our Monday shows are available only to members. So we have a much smaller group of people watching, a much smaller chat room, and it's much more informal and intimate and personal. It's a benefit of membership. And those videos are never made public. And if you start your membership at any point, you can go back and watch all the previous member videos you've missed. Some of them are just BS sessions where we're just hanging out and enjoying each other's company. And others, I actually do repairs and diagnostics that I don't show on the public side for various reasons. But one is, of course, to incentivize people to support us, that there's something in it for you to do that besides more content, that you'll get some exclusive content, not only exclusive for a week, no, permanently exclusive. I got to do what I got to do to try to incentivize people to help support us. Otherwise, I'm going to be here hawking products from corporations I don't truly believe in, or that restricting my speech where I'm not allowed to say everything I want to. Man, I don't want to do that. I'd almost rather not do the videos. That's how opposed to that. Even though it's so common on YouTube, no one would call me out for it. Nobody would say you're doing anything wrong. You're doing what everybody else is doing by taking the corporate money and speaking the corporation's words. I just can't get myself to do it. And so long as I have your support, I won't have to. So thank you again for everybody who supports us. And that's why the members only shows are for the members who make these videos possible. I don't know if you understand the weight of the words I am saying. It's not I'm not exaggerating. The only thing that keeps us afloat are our members. This channel would have been gone over a year ago. We ran out of money about 2 years ago is when we ran out of money. And I would have to then focus on my regular day job and my private business to make money, which is what I was doing before I started this channel. But the rent has to get paid. You understand? The bills have to get paid. And if I can do that while making videos that I love to do without selling out to some corporation that's going to control what I say, otherwise there's punishment. You see my pickle here? I am outnumbered based on the content creators that take the big money. And they're way wealthier than me. And they may not have opinions anyway, right? They're not, usually they're not technicians. They don't work in the industry. So they don't necessarily know if there's anything bad they're withholding or omitting from the corporation's speech they want you to read. So ignorance is bliss. What do I know? They told me to say this. They wrote me a check. I know better, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, of course, to our friend Buster for his continued generosity and his friendship. Also, thank you to Morton. Let me check the phone one more time. Very generous contributions from you guys. Thank you to all the members for continuing to support us here. And I think, oh, thank you, Jose, for your super chat as well. Lately, I keep forgetting to mention the super chats because we don't see them very much these days. Everybody's money's tight for everyone. We're all in the same boat together here, and we're scraping by trying to keep morals and ethics aligned, even when things could be very tempting right now to do things I wouldn't normally do to make the money. What's the expression? 20 bucks is 20 bucks. Standing on a street corner. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody in green, obviously. Thank you, everybody in white. Regardless of you're financially supporting us, you do support us by being here and being a member of the community. I can't thank you enough. What an amazing community, and we're so glad that you're a part of it. And if you're not a part of it, that's on you. The doors are open and welcoming. Anybody who wants to be genuine, sincere, and kind, you're always welcome here, regardless. Thank you to Mara, our channel administrator, for all the work she does behind the scenes. Thank you to Minisforum for sending us the unit and allowing us to be the first review on YouTube and the first to find a problem here, which I'm pretty certain we're going to be able to replicate that problem. It's not like a bad installer. We've already used this installer before, and we didn't have a problem with it. Like on the M1 Lite, it worked fine. So I'm pretty confident the media creation tool being recently updated didn't break anything, but I still need to verify. But I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. And I will follow up and confirm or update you accordingly about if I'm wrong about it, and it is the installer, or if it is a driver, or if something just got corrupt and I can't replicate the problem. So you got to replicate the problem first. And I'm anticipating it's going to replicate, and it's probably one of those drivers. I just don't know which one yet. We'll see if I'm right. And we'll do that in the part 2 follow-up to this next week. I'll get to it as soon as I can, maybe even Wednesday. I might postpone a second part to the other, like the M1 Lite is waiting on a second part, the GMK Tech is waiting on a second part. And on top of that, we have another GMK Tech new in a box to unbox and review, which is good. That gives me content that I can just kind of ration out. And if anything was of timeliness, it would be, you know, something new when it's fresh. And then any follow-up then is less of a priority. The reason I say it is if something new comes in between now and Wednesday, we might even postpone that to make room for something else. But I think more than likely, with as slow as everything has been in the industry, this will probably be Wednesday. Okay, with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for spending it with me. Thank you for your kindness, every one of you. It means the world to me. I will protect this community more than I'll protect the channel itself. It's important that this community is preserved and encouraged. I'd like to see more communities like this online. It's so easy to tear people down. It's so easy to tell people insults and I don't know. It's just as easy to tell people they're wonderful and amazing people and talented and smart. Why that's not the default go-to is if you have something nice to say, people say nothing, and when they're critical of you, they speak up when they weren't even asked their opinion. To fight that attitude, we have to lead by example, and that's what this community does. And I thank each and every one of you for being more evolved than the average YouTube community. And it just shows you we create the world we want to live in. And if people like that, hopefully it'll encourage them to do the same. I didn't realize I never did go full screen here. Let me go full. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see the members back here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Hopefully a follow-up on this on Wednesday. I was going to do something else, follow up on a different one. I think we're going to change the priority while this is fresh. I want to get to a solution quickly, and I don't want to leave you hanging. And then the other mini PCs that we're waiting on a part 2 follow-up, I try and do those on Wednesdays, saving Fridays and Sundays for the new reviews, Mondays for members only. And that's pretty much the schedule now until the industry changes. That's enough work to keep us busy, to keep us regular. And, you know, if I do everything too quickly, if I start making videos every day until I get through it all, we're going to be back to having nothing for like a week or two. And I don't want to be there. I'd rather just stretch it out a little bit, ration it out. That gives us a regular series of content while biding our time to get more things in. And with your super chat and your gift card contributions, that also enables us to do a little shopping on Amazon. If there's something you want us to see, you want to see us review, send us an email. The email address, as I promised earlier, I was going to put on the screen here if you want to reach out to us. Right there on the screen is how you can reach us. Do you know, no matter how many times I have shown that, people don't use it? Do you know I still have people on Facebook, email, and I go, please do not send me, like if you're a personal friend, okay. But otherwise, I still have people, they send me a friend request on Facebook, I approve it, and then they ask me tech support questions. How many times have I asked people, use this email address? Where did they get the idea to go to Facebook? From years ago when I used to recommend that? You know how maddening this is? So I have to respond to these people and say, please I'm just going to repeat what I just said. If you have any questions for the channel, use the channel email. Don't use any other email. Unless you and I have been in discussion in any other form of Facebook or other emails, then you'd be the exception. But don't initiate a new conversation with me any place other than this email, please. It's chaotic to just have emails coming in or messages. Don't text me. Don't use the email address I promoted 4 years ago. This is the one we're using today. Do you think this is going to make a difference? Probably not. I'm sure we're going to get some more Facebook. And I'm going to say, please use this email. I'm going to just buffer it, copy and paste it. I don't mind the emails. What I do mind is people not following my simple request. If they claim to be viewers, how have they not seen this email 10 million times? Well, you know what I mean. Oh, I'm a viewer of yours. I've been a viewer of yours for years. Why are you reaching out to me this way? Because that's what you said to do. I said that 4 years ago. Oh, well, I haven't been watching lately. Oh, you don't say. All of that's unnecessary conversation. Just, how can I help you? Yeah, if that's my biggest complaint, I guess I got it good. So that'll wrap it up for me for today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll look forward to seeing the members tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.